legal requirement every single time we appear on camera. The man to my left, but to your right, it is in fact the co-founder, the co-pilot, the co-breather of air, the co-wearer of clothes in this very room. It is in fact the master of disaster, the king of sting, the count of Monte Cristo. It is Thunderlips, the ultimate male. It is, in fact, the winner of the Dave Stockbridge of the Year Award. I was trying to get through it without giggling, but I couldn't help it. I got to stop looking at you when you do it. But the winner of the Dave Stockbridge of the Year Award, which I believe is right down there, the special illustrious trophy held by the illustrious man with the illustrious beard. It is your friend and mine. It is, in fact, Dave Stockbridge.
Well, thank you very much for that very, very warm welcome. As always, Hollywood Matt Connolly, what a big week it's been in the world of AWE. And I do notice that we've got a new addition to the podcast table here. We've got the it's not a swear jar, but it is a UFC jar. So each and every time that Hollywood Matt Connolly mentions the UFC or comes up with some kind of analogous story with respect to UFC and arm wrestling, a coin will be dropped in the jar. And to all of you people who may be tuning in from wherever you may be, anywhere around the world, we welcome you to another AWE podcast. And the Drew 24 is in the chat already. What do we have here? The Drew 24. We're hoping that package is making its way over to you. Wondering if it has already, and if it has, certainly let us know in the comments. The Drew 24. So Hollywood Matt Connolly, it has been a big week over the last couple of weeks in the world of arm wrestling. So much has seemingly changed in the landscape of arm wrestling since AWE 2. It seems that AWE 2 occurred, and then there was a pre-AWE 2 in the world of arm wrestling, and then there was the end of times, and things changed thereafter. All of a sudden, there were contracts being offered, big money on the table. The biggest names in the sport were being seduced by large sums of money put on the table. All they needed to do was swap their signature for those large sums of money, and agreements would be made, hands would be shook, and events would be happening all on the other side of the world. But nonetheless, planning for AWE 3 and AWE 4 is well underway. Of course, the big signing of Dave Chafee to AWE 4 should signal to any of those athletes that are out there that haven't already signed an exclusive agreement that there is a world on the other side of all of that, of course, and there are opportunities that are available to the best athletes in the world should they choose not to sign an exclusive agreement with one of the big promotions. There also seems to be some collusion amongst the biggest promotions in the sport at the moment as well, which seems very, very interesting in the wake of AWE 2 as well. And not to mention there's some other competition regionally and around the world that is obviously accelerating the plans of some of the biggest promotions in the world. Hollywood Matt Connolly, what are your thoughts on all of that?
There is. There's been lots of that happening, and it is interesting to see that, we'd like to think that we made an impact on those moves and those decisions based off of how well AWT looked and how it was received.
My ego says 100% it
was. Absolutely. We're very, very happy with how that event went. And that is the standard that we're going to be setting, is that we're going to be putting on world-class events with the highest level of production, fantastic looking. It sounds great. It has entertaining matches. Everything about it is top-notch, and that's what we're looking to do with our product. And if other organizations may be looking at that and going, oh, they've raised the bar here, we may be needing to do some things to and solidify our position, or we need to wrap up certain aspects of athletes and ensure that these guys don't get the potential opportunities that they may be able to start pushing into.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot has changed in the last several weeks, and the arm wrestling world is continuing to evolve and adjust accordingly, and attracting some of the biggest names to smaller promotions might well prove difficult in the weeks and months to come, as those athletes are being forlorned with large sums of money to make commitments over several years to remain connected connected with and exclusive to some of these promotions. So that does pose some particular challenges to smaller promotions around the world. Arm Gods, of course, we've got the High Five guys that have recently launched their promotion, and others. And so there's what does the arm wrestling world look like, or what does a world-class arm wrestling event look like without maybe some of the more familiar names that people might be used to tuning into a pay-per-view event to see?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's up to the organization. If they can't nail down the top talent in the world, then they're going to have a point of difference. And it's like, well, what is your point of difference? Maybe it's the fact that your storytelling, your ability to put on an amazing event and get people captivated and interested in what you're doing and what you're selling is where you find your skill set. And I would believe that's where we're pushing for, is that people may not know everybody that's on our card, but they will know them after the card is over, because not only is the athlete an incredible performer and they're going to do an amazing match, is that we're going to be pushing that content to build that athlete's story and their opponent's story, so that you get very interested in seeing this match, regardless as to who's in it. And then following it up afterwards with that. And I don't think there's other organizations that have that skill set. So that is our point of difference. So we have the ability to tell a story to get people interested in who's actually competing. And it's like, if you're banking on the fact that, okay, well, these guys are the most recognizable people in the world of arm wrestling, so you've got your top 10, top 15, okay, these are the ones that have the biggest audience, they've won world championships, the world of arm wrestling knows these people in and out. And you're banking on, okay, if I wrap up all these people and I put on events with just these people involved, then that's where I'm going to find my audience. That's where I'm going to find my money. But if you don't have the other elements to it, you're just really relying on those stars' names and their profile to get you through. Whereas the ideal situation is where you're able to combine elements like what we're doing with the storytelling element of it, and then you've got the top talent in the world. If you've got one or the other, you can still be successful.
Yeah, well, I think one of the benefits for AWE is, of course, we are a marketing business first and foremost, and an events business secondly. So whereas some of the bigger names out there, they're pay-per-view events businesses first and foremost and almost entirely, and any marketing might be just peripheral to the event activity. Whereas what you might be noticing over the last several weeks, especially since AWE2, has been our Instagram page has blown up. So we're trending at about nearly 50,000 people over the last 30 days visiting to that page from zero 4 or 5 weeks ago. You're seeing our YouTube numbers fly through the roof. We crashed through 1,000 subscribers just in the last several days, and bursting through the other side of that. You're seeing hours watched online growing by the moment, and that's because we are a marketing business first and foremost. What we do is that we create content that supports our athletes and supports our events, and then there just happens to be an event at the end of it every now and again. So that model seems to be proving really well, and I think for the long term and for the athletes that are engaged with us, the overall profile and the ability to be able to really for us to be able to sink our teeth into a story with respect to an athlete and to raise their profile if they don't have the profile they feel that they deserve at the moment. AWE is certainly a wonderful home for athletes like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the thing that a lot of people forget is, they'll call a sporting organization, like they'll class it as an organization. Reality is it's a promotion, and the key word is promotion, that you are promoting an event.
Indeed.
You're promoting the athletes on the card. You're trying to build that brand of AWE, of recognition, as well as the athletes that are there as well. So if somebody is going to be competing on AWE, they're more than likely going to get a whole profile built around them with content, with storytelling, with, we're going to do all of that for the athlete. We're going to build that for them on their behalf to sell that to the audience. So that's, from our side of it, is that we are looking at ourselves as a promotion as opposed to simply a sporting organisation.
Yeah, indeed. And Fox 8's in the comments, 6:30 a.m. in your part of the world, and what a great way to start your Thursday. So with some AWE podcasting action. Welcome to the podcast, Foxy, as always. Devon's forearm is also in the chat. It has arrived. No, sorry, that's the Drew 24. It has arrived, but I wasn't home to sign in for it, so I will get it tomorrow for the post office. I just got home. So it has arrived. The package has arrived.
Right, yeah.
Okay, well, we will look forward to next week, and maybe, Drew, just maybe you can wait out for the big reveal and just open it up and take a little video for us. We'd love that. We'd absolutely love that.
I hope it's in there what I packed, because I've forgotten. No.
So it's basically just a photograph of Matt doing a double bicep pose.
Yeah, now I remember. That's what it was. Yeah. It's a big box, and then there's just a little Polaroid in there.
So Fox, is it Fox?
Fox 8 Ball, but he's shortened his name to Foxall.
Foxall is gone with Foxall now. So the person, the identity previously known as Fox 8 is now Foxall. This isn't a scam account or anything like that. So
Stockbridge, I believe. He's the man behind the Stockbridge.
He is the man. So big week of announcements, of course. So and a few of those announcements, Hollywood Matt Connolly, we're going to share on the podcast here this evening.
That's right.
Absolutely. Or this morning, if you happen to be on the other side of the world.
It is, in fact. Yeah, absolutely. We've got big announcements leading into AWE 3, and one of those announcements, I think this isn't really much of a secret, but we are aiming for. Well, no, not yet. We might wait for a little while. We'll let the anticipation build a little bit, but we are targeting, obviously, the end of October is when AWE 3 will be taking place. We're just waiting to hear back and confirmation from venues to ensure that we have the correct date, and we don't want to give a date yet in case it does change, and then people go, okay, it's that date, and then it's like, oh, actually, no, it's not.
We booked our tickets.
It's wrong. That's not the right date. And then, but that's what they said. No, so we'll wait until we've got everything locked in. But the end of October is when we are looking for AWE 3. Once that is locked in, we will let you guys know ASAP. The other small bit of information, but not a big announcement. But obviously, the website is this close. It's 99% done. We're just waiting on one last little thing to happen. And once that is done, we are launching, and we'll have athlete profiles. We'll have all of the relevant AWE information on that website. So you'll be able to have a direct location you can go to find out dates, times, ticket information, merchandise, who's pulling on what card, when is it, what happened on previous cards, what people's records are, what their power levels, endurance, strength, press. My press is set at a level of 2 out of 10. Which is where you could barely press a shirt with that. I think it's accurate, actually.
It's about right.
Which is why I did do it myself. But so that is exciting.
It's exciting that you got a ranking at all.
Yeah, I shouldn't, because I haven't competed. I mean, if I'm on there, you should be on there as well. But I think the gentlemen who have been helping us out with the website they just added that one in. Like, he must be one of the guys.
Must be.
Sure.
I've seen him on the AWE.
Yeah, I don't know, he's doing something. He wears a shirt.
On the podcast.
Yeah, he must do it. Get him to do his rating. But it's funny because all the other athletes are way up there.
Actual athletes.
The proper arm wrestlers. Not the pretend ones. Their power levels, so everything's out of 10. I think there was about 9 categories or something. It was like you're looking at your hook, press, and top roll, then explosiveness, endurance, power, that sort of thing. There was like 9 different categories, and the majority of these guys, because they are pretty well the elite, they're sort of sitting at the 7, 8, 9 in some cases out of 10.
Realize this was out. This is annoying.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah. It's been fixed, and so and then when we've been asked, okay, can you come up with the ratings for all the athletes? So we very carefully went through each category, and I think you just said you guys can do it. And then mine was in there. I was like, oh, there's me, and I was like, okay. And I was like, these guys are really.
What did you rate your top roll?
Probably a 6.
Okay.
Yeah, 6, and everything else was really low. Oh, endurance. I put endurance as like
endurance. You
a
put
10.
10 for
A 10
endurance.
for endurance. No one's going to out-endure me.
Yeah.
No one allowed. You will beat me, but very, very, very slowly.
So we've got, but that's not the only big announcement that we've got to make, is it? We are naturally, as part of AWE 3, we're expanding the format, and so there'll be opportunities for other people.
The
Squeaks to be made.
wants to jump in on. He wants its own profile now. All of a sudden,
so there'll be opportunities for others to compete on the day as well, under a couple of different formats. So we are looking at an open tournament format.
Are we?
We are.
Oh. Okay.
Are we meant to announce it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to get a phone call from Ryan Bowen in a few minutes' time.
That's right. He says he's at the gym at the moment. He'll put that weight down and be like, hang on a minute.
Oh, did I just hear right? So, yep, we've got a tournament occurring before the main card.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what is the prize associated with competing and working your way into the finals of that tournament?
That's right. Absolutely. So we're looking at running a tournament. So the structure of what's happening. So because we're looking at putting an event on at a time of the day where it will suit the majority of people. So for us, that's Sunday morning at about 9 a.m. So we're looking at that. Obviously, we can set up the day prior. And we thought, well, if we've already set up and there's just Saturday night and everything's just sitting there, well, why don't we do something with that? We thought, why don't we run a tournament? And we can have a tournament where the grand finals takes place on the actual AWE pay-per-view card. And so if you're entering the tournament, and this is the structure and the rules and everything we'll set in a second, but if you make your way through to the grand final of the tournament, it will be the Saturday night, you'll have the Saturday night to recover. Like once the tournament has finished, the grand finals will take place as the very first match on the AWE pay-per-view card.
So this could be Drew 24 versus Fox 8.
It will be.
This could well be. So anybody can enter.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So any punter off the street who thinks they've got a bit of a strong arm, they can certainly compete. Of course, we naturally expect that some of the best arm wrestlers in and around the place might make their way out of the woodwork and down for the tournament. So especially with that alluring prize of featuring on the main card of AWE 3 with some of the superstars of the sport.
Absolutely.
So tremendous opportunity there for athletes. So certainly keep penciled in that third or fourth week of October. If you're an athlete and you want to try your hand, it doesn't matter where you're from, anywhere around the world, we'll take all comers, and all you need to do is turn up there on the day and test your arm against the best that we've got to offer. And if you happen to work your way through the myriad of competitors and find yourself in the finals, well, we're going to take you and your competitor and put them on the main card of AWE 3. So that's
that's right.
It's going to be massive.
It is very exciting.
I'm really excited.
Absolutely.
You thinking about competing?
No.
Okay. You don't want to test that press. Yeah.
Not the press. Yeah, people aren't ready for that because I'm not ready for it either. The Drew says he's just on the phone right now. He's spreading the algo boost on the AWE channel here. Well, thank you, the Drew. You've always helped us out tremendously. I can't wait for you to open your package tomorrow. Which if you'd done it today, if you were there and you'd signed it, we could have talked to you about it. But anyway, that's all right. But with the tournament, so there are some stipulations with this that.
You have to be weaker than Hollywood Matt.
That's right. You must let me beat you first, then you can come on, and I will film that, and that is the only thing I will film. No. So we'll be streaming that as well. The tournament will be streamed, but there is no weight classes.
No weight classes.
No weight classes.
Giant killers.
That's right.
That's
right. There's no weight classes, and it is right arm only.
Right arm only.
Right arm only. No weight classes. So it is going to be. We are looking for the elite guys in the world to step up and compete. If they're going to represent the AWE and be on the AWE pay-per-view, then we want the best of the best. Now, if you're in one of the lighter weight classes and you feel like, well, maybe this, I was interested, I would like to have competed, but obviously I'm 80 kilos, and there's probably going to be guys there very much having a significant weight advantage over me, the other announcement that we've got.
Oh,
well, this is for anybody who wants to come along and they think, well, maybe I wouldn't have a fantastic shot in the tournament because weight classes and restrictions and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
We
Or
will
I'm
be
Hollywood
running.
Matt Connolly.
That's right. If you have a terrible press or no press whatsoever, I don't even know how to do it. Somebody that I've started at the club within the last 3 weeks has learned how to do it from my instruction that I don't know how I'm doing it.
Those that do, those that don't teach.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm the expert swimmer that's never been in the pool.
Yeah.
But the other announcement, I'm so getting off track every single
Yeah.
time, is that we will be running a last man standing event as well.
Yes,
So-
yes. So very, very exciting. So for those that aren't familiar with what last man stand, last muscular standing event means, what does that mean?
Yeah, well, we ran a last man standing event last year. I think it was the end of last year.
Yep.
And it's a tremendous event. I absolutely loved it.
I love it.
Essentially, the last man standing event is a non-stop 1 hour king of the table, or winner stays on. The person who is in the king position or in the winner position on the hour mark, when it hits that 60 minutes, they are the winner. And we'll find out what the prize money is or what the prize will be for that person. But on the hour, that person who is in that king position will be the winner of the event. But also, the person who holds the king position the longest throughout that hour will also win a prize.
So let's say hypothetically here, you've been on the king position so it's an hour-long event.
Yeah.
You've been on the king position for like 45 minutes. People have been struggling to beat you. As soon as you've worked your way back onto the table, you've beaten everybody. You're going to probably be the winner of, say, $1,000.
Yeah.
On the other side, though, of the table at the hour mark, just through fluke, it could be me.
Yeah.
And I've spent 2 minutes on the table
Yeah.
in the king position max, but I just happen to be there at the end. I can also win $1,000.
That's right.
Okay.
That is absolutely
So-
correct. So anybody could win this.
Anybody could win
Yeah.
this. This is intriguing. So the last time we did a last man standing event was actually right here
It's
in
in
the
this room.
AWE studios. And it was an hour-long event, but there was only about 8 competitors. And so what you did find is that competitors were, especially as the hour was approaching, were literally running. If they lost, they were running around to get back on the table to give themselves every chance of maybe sharing some of that prize money. So
Yeah.
it's a very exciting event. I can only imagine if the more competitors, the more fun it's going to be.
Yeah, it's incredible. And the fun thing is that people will try to strategize in like, oh, I'm not going to try for the first bit so that I'm really strong at the end. There's no guarantee you're going to be an opportunity to get on the table at the hour mark. Do you know what I mean?
So there is some strategy and there
Yeah.
is some thought, and you can certainly, maybe spend some time working your way through that strategy and thought. But the reality is you've just got to be there at the end. Yeah.
That's right, exactly. And that's the thing is, if you maybe lay down on every single round thinking, okay, I'm going to save myself for the end, and then at the end, you're 20 people behind before you get your opportunity, and you're like, I'm not going to make it to the table. I'm not going to get my turn, and I didn't try the whole time. It's like, well, you lose out, dude. Like you had the opportunity to try and you didn't do it. So
and the winner of that last man standing event here was Laz the Berserker Both. So one of our AWE superstars happened to be the winner on that occasion. Do you recall who was? And he was one of the winners because he spent the most time in the king position. Do you happen to remember who the other winner was?
I do. It was Laz the Berserker Botha. He won both.
He won both.
He won both. Yeah.
Right.
It came down to that last little bit. And as you said, the way that this room is set up, we've got a door on this side and a door on that side. And we had the table in the middle. And people were having the match and then literally sprinting around the corridor to come back.
Yes.
And it was in the last minute, and Lass had the king position, and Tim had it was Lass and Tim, and Tim he hit with a really strong press, and I think it slipped just in the last, which meant they went to straps, and Lass crushed him in straps, and that was the last match. So yeah, incredible. But
so it is possible for the king to, and in that situation, Lass had spent like much longer than on in the king position than everybody else. So
Yes.
he'd spent 38 minutes of that hour on the table, which was quite the extraordinary feat in itself, of an extraordinary feat of endurance as much as strength. And but he was able to take up both prizes in the end. So
yeah, that's right.
Just an extraordinary performance.
It was incredible. And I think the main reason that he did so well was he didn't lay down. In the first 20 minutes, he beat everybody that was deliberately losing.
Yeah.
And he was able to hold that position and score himself. At that point, it was 500 for the longest and then 500 for the king position. And so he's nailed that $500 in that first 15 minutes because everyone wasn't trying. And it was like, okay, well, I'm going to try and I'm just going to win that longest time.
Yeah.
And it's on my channel, the Hollywood Matt Connolly channel, that whole event, the hour. We had Jake Ward who came over and we did commentary. It was hilarious. It was fantastic. But the fun thing was the speed of these matches. And I think in 1 hour, so 60 minutes, we had something like 300 matches. Yeah. Like 300 goes.
So this is great value for anybody who happens to be tuning in from home. So you're going to get the tournament, you're going to get the AWE Super Match, the main card, and of course on that card will be the finalist of the tournament as well, and then there'll be a last man standing event at the end, which is cool because all the competitors, regardless of whether they were super match competitors or whether they were there in the tournament, or they just happen to walk off the street, they can then jump onto the table and get involved in the last man standing event.
Exactly. And that's the thing is, so saying Lachlan Adair is sitting there and in the king position, and he's going to beat like say 20 people in a row, but he will get tired.
He's going to get tired at some stage. Lachlan Adair gets tired,
and then you might beat Lachlan Adair,
maybe, and
you've got it on video going, well, that was a legitimate start, and I beat him.
Yeah, exactly. So there are big announcements for today, and of course, many of you would already be aware of our big match announcements that are already out there. And if you're following the AWE Instagram page or the YouTube channel, then you might already be aware of Marcus Iturai versus Mata Iringi, Heather Morris.
Biggest match in history.
Biggest match in the history of arm wrestling. Yes. Over 770 pounds of human being across the table at the same time.
That's right. I thought you were going to say kilos. I was like, hang on, they're not 300 something kilos each. 170 kilos each, 340. I think it's 342, I think. Yeah,
that's what
insane.
Yeah, it really is. It's quite extraordinary. It's two superhumans on the table at the same time, competing against each other.
Referee's going to look tiny.
And all to work out who's going to be a contender for that Intercontinental Belt title or heavyweight title. So two massive athletes going toe-to-toe. And, of course, Mazahir Sadhu, India's greatest arm wrestler, up against the world's greatest arm wrestler in Ryan Blue Bowen.
Australia's number one arm
wrestler, according to India.
Yeah.
So Ryan Blue Bowen against Mazahir, and so this is a wonderful coming together of cultures. And then we've got, of course, Josh Barker. Josh Barker, Australia's number one under 70 kilo competitor.
You're going to say number one arm wrestler.
And he beat Ryan Bowen at under 70 kilos. There's under 70 kilo competitor Josh Barker, and
Raul
Panica, young Raul Panica, the leanest, most I want to say one of the most attractive young men in arm wrestling, isn't he? He's very, very lean. He's very much ready to go. So Raul Panica will be over here, and of course, both of those Indian competitors have been enjoying table time as part of the Pro Panja League, and the Pro Panja League is they've been doing an extraordinary job when it comes to presenting the sport. Just watching the most recent tournament was it was an epic event, wonderful production qualities, fantastic lighting, and of course the athletes look like they're having a great time, the crowd's really getting into it, and people can say what they like about Indian arm wrestling, but the reality is it's on Sony TV in India, and it's being screened in the United States, which is an accomplishment that I don't think even tournaments in the United States can claim.
No.
So Pro Punja are doing amazing things in the world of arm wrestling right now, and really taking things to a whole new level. I think they're borrowing, whereas maybe some of our inspiration, just maybe, would be from the UFC.
You brought it up first this time. You've got to put money in the jar.
I didn't bring cash, but Pro Punja seem to be very much borrowing from that IPL rule book. So which for punters outside of the Commonwealth, IPL is a Indian Premier League cricket, which is a 2020 format. It's very, very big in the subcontinent, and they've got franchises where a big business owner might put his name to a team, and they'll basically go through a draft type scenario and select amongst the pool of talent the best and most complementary talent that they can fit into their team, and then they'll go and compete against the other big teams within the league. And so Pro Punja has really borrowed from that formula and enjoying enormous success.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the IPL, when that first came around, it was incredible to see, because obviously, and not everyone in the world is a fan of cricket or knows how popular it is, but obviously in India it's absolutely massive. Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and Australia, we all have a very big rivalry, and New Zealand as well. And so when the IPL formed, it was sort of like an independent, it felt very much like, let's put together the super teams that we've always wanted to see. And it was the people that were running that were sort of bidding on and offering big money to the names of the sport, and
the superstars of the day, weren't they? They're all being offered millions of dollars to join certain clubs.
That's right. And you saw these amalgamated teams, which would have, say, Shane Warne and Brett Lee on one team, and they might be playing against some superstars of Australian cricket in another team, and it was like these people
Adam
would
Gilchrist,
never, it might
Rodney
be
Hogg,
exactly. Absolutely. But it was really interesting to see it, because it was like these people were always on the same team, and they've always played together, but now you may see them actually face against each other, and it's like, oh, this is really interesting. It's really different. So that was fantastic to see when that first started. But obviously the Pro Punja League is doing fantastically well with arm wrestling, and I think Ryan actually said that of all nations in the world in terms of arm wrestling viewership, India is at number 1, and then it is a massive drop down to number 2.
Yeah,
and it is like,
I wonder where Turkey sits on that list. India's doing great things. Pro Punja's doing great things, and Mazahir at the moment is the king of the castle when it comes to Indian arm wrestling, and he'll be making his way over to Australia for AWE 3 to compete against Ryan Bluebone. A big matchup, and Pradeep has already made his bold predictions. He says that Rainbow is definitely going to be in trouble.
He's predicted 4-0 for Mazahir. 4-0
Mazahir is the call from Pradeep. So
is he taking money?
I did.
Pradeep, $1,000 on Ryan.
Yep.
If you're listening, anybody, get that to Pradeep. I'll put 1,000 on Ryan.
Whether or not you're following Pradeep's bold predictions on that one, or whether or not you're backing Ryan, we wish you all the very, very best with that one. But either way, I think the real winner will be arm wrestling, ultimately. And we're seeing the best of India come out of India for the first time to compete against a Western audience, which is super exciting and a great thing to be part of, and very, very thankful for Pro Punja to release their athletes in order to be able to compete in AWE as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. It's incredible. We'll just say hello to a couple of people who are very kindly putting comments here in the chat. We've got Bowen Contrano, who said, Dan, my right sucks. I just lost to Pepe. I
saw that. Yeah, it looked like you wanted to, take it up with him as well. You weren't very happy with that one.
Well, both guys love to get fired up for their matches, so it's exciting to see when you get athletes like that it means so much to them, and they really fire up before the round starts, and it's like, oh, I want to see this.
and so Bowen, it looked like Pepe got you very much off the start, very, very quick off the start. Pepe is very much known, world class arm wrestler. He just happens to now find his more of his time in Australia.
Yeah.
And is ripping his way through the Australian ranks at the moment. And of course, Bowen, is that the first time that you've competed against Pepe? Is that exactly what you were expecting? And were you expecting him to be as quick as what he was?
Double pinned me, which was quite rude, I thought.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's it. It is one of those things in the sport where people get fired up and they just want to, release that aggression. Sometimes people do things in the heat of the moment. I'm sure that 5 minutes later he felt bad about doing that.
But when you think that Pepe was telling us he was going to triple pin you before, it may be a mark of respect that he only did it twice. So Bowen, don't feel so bad about that one, Pepe.
We've got the Aussie arm wrestler Jake Ward has popped in as well. He says, "Hey, I just popped in to say good day to you Ripper blokes. Hope all is well. Ready, bang.
Ready, bang."
That's it. I follow Jake Ward, the Aussie arm wrestler. Fantastic guy. And as we were saying before, he was one of the features for our last man standing event, came over to Adelaide.
Very much.
Yeah. It
was your co-commentator.
It was great. Yeah.
He
was phenomenal. We were making a lot of, he's a hilarious guy. We're having a great time doing the commentary. Got Josh Barker, the exploding elbow technique, famed for. He says, "Yeah, Josh Barker." I don't know why he's saying that.
Well, we say the same.
Yeah,
just around the office. So Josh Barker. So Josh, hope you're well. Hope the elbow's recovering, and I hope you're getting back to full strength. Because I've got a feeling you're going to need to be. Because as we start to land into AWE 3, it looks like you've got some pretty stiff competition there. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Raul Paniker is no joke, and that's going to be an incredible match to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, Josh Barker. I'm just going to be doing that from now on. Drew will video himself opening the package, so thank you very much.
Yes, that's what we want to see.
All right, and we've got Shredquan 1 says Shredquan. Maybe it's a play on Redcon 1.
Shredcon.
Yeah, instead of Redcon 1, which is a fitness supplement reference. Stuff.
Yes,
yeah.
Shredcon 1.
one.
So it's like Redcon, but you get ripped at the same time.
That's right. Yeah, and he says, "Great to see Australian arm wrestling is starting to take off." Well, thank you very much. We are big fans of arm wrestling first and foremost. So that's why we are doing all of this, because we wouldn't do it if we didn't want to see the best matches possible.
Absolutely.
The Drew, very much looking forward to India getting the explosive arm wrestling growth and exposure to the rest of the world with these matches. We absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Another one from the Drew here. We're just catching up on all the comments here. I still want to see Pradeep versus Jake Ward.
We're working on it.
Both hands at the same time as a free prelim match to hype and promote the main event. Although I don't know if Jake can restrain himself from not punching him when they first meet.
Maybe what we need is an MMA event first, and then we move forward into maybe it's a multidiscipline thing, like a decathlon, for instance. You can't. You might be really strong in one area, but if you're a little bit deficient in the other, then you might not walk away with the gold. So
that's correct.
Maybe we need a multidiscipline event to really settle this beef between these two great commentators and of the sport.
They could do like a video off, like you get 2 minutes each and to make your own video. And away you go, ready? This is the topic. Yeah. Bang, Pradeep, you first.
Yeah.
Jake, here's a random topic. There you go. Let's go.
And then it's decided through votes on YouTube.
Right. Yeah, that'd be great. Bowen Contrado says, first time on the right. This is about Pepe. His speed hits different. It is hard to catch, but I'll get him. It would be a very different thing to face when maybe that's the first time Bowen has pulled against somebody and you know exactly what they're going to be doing. You know what they're known for, that he's obviously explosive, incredibly fast, and you're aware of that going into the match, and you go up to the table and everything that is like, okay, I've prepared for this, and then they just hit and it just blasts through you. It's like, that is so different to what I was expecting. So yeah, but now that you've experienced it, and maybe you know what to expect the next time. Yeah,
absolutely, Bowen. So wondering what might be your strategy going into any matchup with Pepe into the future.
Speaking of which, Ready Bang! Oh, here we go. Shredcon 1 says, you got the name right the first people, you legends. All right, we got it. And fueled by arm wrestling, Pradeep versus Jake. Well,
it seems to be what the arm wrestling world wants to see. Pradeep versus Jake. I don't know how we bring this together.
I'm trying to remember who flew away. I think it's Trent, who is in Victoria but pops down to the club every now and then for
Nice.
SA Titans. Yeah.
Ah, yes.
Yes. The one, I think it was either him or Nicholas that started the Dave Stockbridge thing.
God bless you. God bless
I'm
you.
not sure who started the Stockbridge thing though.
No, we'll get to the bottom of it. So Pradeep versus Jake is what the arm wrestling world does want. Well, here at the AWE, we will try to bring you the matchups you want to see. And so if there's any chance of getting Pradeep over from India and in the same room as Jake Ward at the same time, let's see what we can do to have those two legends collide over the table.
Bowen says, that's right, boys. Yeah, I'm dropping weights on my arms now, basically to build up a stronger catch. Yeah, it is interesting that certain opponents will have certain skill sets, and it's like, okay, I've got a very well-rounded skill set, and that has worked well throughout my arm wrestling career. But then when you come up to the higher levels and people have very specific skills, and it's like, okay, well, I have a foundation, but now I need to train this specific skill to overcome this opponent. Because if somebody is very explosive and that's what they're doing, if you continue with your foundation training, maybe you won't overcome that person. Whereas, okay, now I really need to delve into how do I stop this person from beating me, and maybe you wouldn't have gained those skills without stepping up and getting on the table with them. So there is so much to gain from competing, and you learn more from your losses than you do from your wins.
You certainly do. And Bowen, interested in how you're doing that. Is it a free weight that you're dropping on your arm to catch it, and what kind of weights are you looking at doing to simulate that initial big hit from an athlete like Pepe? Very, very interested in how you're attacking that in terms of your response to Pepe, so that you're better prepared next time you meet across the table.
You've got some interesting training stuff that you've been doing lately with the different wrist.
Yeah, I've got a Gripzilla, which I found to be awesome for everything but my elbow, which flares up every time I use it. But, and I say it's awesome. It's great for your T section. It's great for your traps. It's great for your shoulders. Really good for your forearms, particularly towards the top. Good for your grip. There's, of course, different regimes that you can abide by. I've just been grabbing it, putting it on the hardest setting, and trying to go for a minute at a time. Because I do have a bit of an ouchy elbow, I have been finding that if I do that for several days, it just it leads to a bit of inflammation. But if I had a healthy elbow, it would be a regular part of my regime. So definitely enjoying that, and also enjoying the big thick grips at the moment. I just found I was just looking before, like my watch here, which was very, very loose on me not long ago, is now
it's about to come off.
And so I can see it through my wrist and through my hands that I'm getting some strength out of those big thick grips, and I'm fortunate to have a cable crossover machine at home, so I'm able to get those big thick grips and just try and simulate some of those pressures that I feel like I'm weak in.
Right.
I think much like yourself, coming from a weight training, traditional bodybuilding style of training, and into arm wrestling, there's a lot of specificity that that gets exposed for regular weight trainers when they step onto the table. And so it's just trying to fill those gaps now and get the wrist, get the hand, and get those smaller muscle groups working in concert with the large ones.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is so important, isn't it? It's almost from the top of the hand is where you could almost prioritize and say this is the most important section when you're arm wrestling, because if you can win in dominance in this area, you may have a weaker arm, but you've got an opportunity to take over the match, and with pronation, with your body weight, you might be able to do very well with the strong hand and wrist. Obviously the idea is to get as strong as you can everywhere, but people are going to be genetically and fundamentally, they'll have different strengths in different areas. And as you mentioned, we both come from a weight bodybuilding sort of background where, the biceps and everything and triceps would have a very much focus and attention, but in arm wrestling, they're not as important as the hand and wrist. And, Unfortunately, it's great for defense, but obviously if you're sitting there 1 inch from the pad at all times, like me, you would rather be on the other side and winning the match. But I did have a go with that thing. What's it called? The Gripzilla?
Yeah, the Gripzilla. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's basically you've got a central, almost like a capsule, and you can ratchet up the resistance, so you can have it so it's pretty loose, and you can tighten it so that you're getting a maximal level of resistance from the movement. You can move the handles on either end of the central capsule up or down, or in around motion, so like almost like a pedaling motion, which is how I've been using it. Yeah, I found it to be particularly effective. I think it's really good for the midsection as well. Not that I'm maybe on the best exponent of that quality of the Gripzilla, but nonetheless, I have noticed that there's just a general tightening through the midsection and growth across the T section that I wasn't expecting. And so this is through 3 minutes of using the Gripzilla over, and that's 1 minute spurts 3 times a day.
Yeah, nice.
3-4 days a week. And of course, if it wasn't for my elbow maybe playing up with it, I'd more ardently be using that particular tool. I've just found it to be very, very effective.
Yeah, I remember you brought it in here to the office one time, and you did say it's on the hardest setting. See if you can just rotate it through for a minute. And I found it was pretty good up until about 45 seconds. And then my left hand, which is my weaker hand, was just not moving anymore. It was like, do the thing. I'm telling keep doing what you were doing before. And it's like, I can't. The right was okay, but the left was gone.
Yeah. So it's amazing. I mean, arm wrestling is a sport of the smaller muscles ultimately, and if you can get strength into those areas, then you give yourself a far greater chance on the competitive table.
That's right, absolutely.
And also interested to anybody in the comments, of course, who's using a particular grip or a handle or a piece of equipment that they found really beneficial, like I have with the Gripzilla, for instance. If you're enjoying some growth or a burst through moment as a result of using any particular part of any particular piece of equipment, let us know.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think Bowen has said something about that. We'll get to that in a second, but we'll just get through the Drews here, which says what's a good time frame for AWE4 here in Vegas? Here in Vegas, you've set us up already, have you, Drew? At your house, you've cleaned the back area. He's swept, he's vacuumed, ready for February. Very smart choice to choose this venue. Yes, well, thank you, the Drew.
We'll be at your place if the MGM Grand aren't abiding. So
MGM Grand's amazing. That's where I stayed in Vegas.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned it.
Oh, nice. Yeah, fantastic. When I saw the UFC,
was it Tito Ortiz?
It was. Well, he was there. He wasn't competing, but
he was there though.
He was there,
and you were there,
and I was there,
and your wife touched his bottom.
She did.
Yeah,
accidentally, but on purpose.
She's brushed a little bit.
Yes, because we had our hands around him to take a photo, and then as her hand has dropped down, it's caressed a cheek.
I'm sure he wouldn't have minded.
Sure not. No, definitely not. Bowen says it's a cable. This is about what weight he's dropping onto his arm. A cable with my brother dropping without warning and hitting into bands so far. Not going too much at the moment because the Queensland comp is coming up. So I'm just taking it steady. There you go. That's it. So a random time your brother is dropping weight. So you are trying to prepare yourself to be in a position of readiness. And then obviously your weight just hits all of a sudden and you're trying to catch that weight and prevent yourself.
Simulating the ready go as best as possible.
Yeah, it is interesting. And one of the things that we were talking about, I think, a couple of weeks ago, there is an app that you can get which just randomly will either beep or it'll say ready go, or you can customize it to say go, and you set yourself up into a position of you're about to start on the table, and you wait for that. You have your phone there and it'll just randomly say go, and it's like and you just hit through. So you're not prepared, as in it's not a rhythm. It's not like every 10 seconds it goes. It's randomly. So it's to work on that speed and that timing. So maybe you're not quite set ready yet, and then it's just going. You're like, so yeah, it is a useful training tool.
So We have some great places, many good places, various parks, national parks, a dam, tons of convention areas. Not as original, but you're spruiking the benefits of Las Vegas.
He started out well, and then he dropped it instantly. We have great places, many good places.
Maybe they started great.
They're great, and then they're good.
And then we got many,
and then
we got some great, and then there's many good down here,
and then some
not
as original.
And then there's national parks over there.
No one likes them.
Oh, there's a dam. Oh, that's right, a dam. There's a dam. And tons of convention area. I mean, no one's using.
Nah,
tons of.
They're not as original.
I mean, they're great. Yeah.
It's Las Vegas. It's amazing. It's got everything you could ever imagine there. It's even got the Statue of Liberty.
We don't need great places. We don't need even need many good places. We just need your backyard nicely swept, ready to go.
That's right.
That's all we need.
Sweep it up. Here we go. Shredcon 1, does the app feature Aussie saying ready bang? Then maybe you can get onto that.
That's a good that's a good opportunity for Aussie. I think maybe if he maybe wants to become the voice of that app.
That's a good idea. If you're still watching, Jake, you've just been given $1 million idea, and we expect 20% of the revenue.
Yes.
Michael Ford has jumped on through Facebook and said, just signed on. Is it possible to go back over how to get on the card? It is. We can do that. We made an announcement earlier that we have the AWE 3 event, which we haven't locked in the date as of yet, but we are targeting the end of October. The night before, because we'll be running our event for AWE 3 in the morning on a Sunday morning. It should be around 9 a.m. The night before, we'll have everything set up. We thought, rather than having this amazing equipment just sitting here doing nothing for an entire night, we're going to be running a tournament, an open weight tournament that is right arm only, the grand finals of which will take place on the AWE 3 card. And it'll be the very first match that will take place on that card. So if you are an arm wrestler and you are interested in competing in the AWE, this is your opportunity to prove yourself. And if you come over to Adelaide and on the night before the AWE 3 event, you step up to the plate, you sign your name on the dotted line, and you step up to the table, you could be in the grand finals at the AWE 3 event.
Absolutely. So lots on the line, a big opportunity to be had. And so if you are an athlete out there and you do want to chance your hand, well, be there the night before AWE 3 and you'll give yourself every chance of making your way onto the card. I mean, you just got to turn up, give it your absolute best.
That's right, absolutely. The Drew says you wanted to be a trendsetter by being here in Vegas. Everyone would be praising this event. Wow. We still talk about the classic Arm Wars match here in Vegas. Yeah, that's right. What I'm guessing there wasn't many matches that have taken place in Vegas, which surprises me because Vegas is the
fight capital of the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
It? Yeah,
absolutely.
It's like the MGM Grand and Madison Square Gardens. That if you're a fighter or in any combat sport, that's where you want to perform.
Yeah, that's right. Vegas, I'd love to go back there. What an incredible place.
Yeah.
Shredcon 1, will the event be held in South Australia again? And is what we are targeting for. We are going to lock everything and confirm once it all is 100% locked in, we will be able to let everybody know. But that is more than likely the scenario.
And if you are an Australian and you do want to be part of an AWE event, or you just want to attend as a spectator, then make sure you make your way along to AWE 3 because there's no guarantees AWE 4 or 5 is going to be in Australia. So make sure that you are making your way to the event and giving yourself every chance to find your way onto the card.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah, this is one of those things that as a organization and as a promotion first and foremost, our first two events, we were very fortunate to partner with Diamondback Fighting Championship and utilize their production crew and their team and their octagon and sort of have that as a way that we could introduce ourselves into the world of putting on live events to some degree of safety, of knowing that they do a really professional job. So we'll use their guys and just sort of, can we come in and do that as well? And now that we've sort of figured out, okay, well, what we're doing is working. We know how to structure everything. We know how to get the stream going. We know how to do all of those elements. We're going to be doing things on our own. So this will be our first foray into doing that not being partnered with Diamondback Fighting Championship for our event, and then future events we'll be able to move wherever we would like to do and hold them hopefully in the Drew's backyard in Vegas.
And this is largely due to the feedback that we receive from you guys, and especially those that are happen to be on the western side of the USA. Our streaming times or our pay-per-view timing has been largely dependent on Diamondback for our first two events, whereas the feedback that we had from the arm wrestling world was we need to be a little bit more sympathetic to our friends on the other side of the world. And so as a result, there was no way of holding an event basically first thing in the morning in Australia and still partnering with Diamondback. And so we've not had much choice here, but to appease our friends all around the world and to ensure that AWE has a global audience. We've had to essentially massage our timing and manage our resources so that we can ensure that the event's held at a time that everybody can enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we'll be doing. And that's why 9 a.m. is sort of our sweet spot here on a Sunday morning, which would be Saturday night prime time in the United States. So that is the timing frame that we'll be playing with. And we've got coming here from the Drew says it would be really cool if we could get some matches set up with UFC fighters here. Some retired ones live here as well, like Forrest Griffin. My hesitation in that, Drew, is injuries occurring. And we were talking about this privately, some ideas we were throwing around earlier in the week, but I don't like putting people who don't know how to arm wrestle on an arm wrestling table for a match, especially if it's a competition match. If they don't know how to do the techniques properly and all of a sudden they're in front of a live audience and there's pressure on them to give it their absolute all, especially if they're a strong athlete and they have a combat sports background, they're probably going to be going all in on side pressure, which is exactly what happened with a very disastrous event that happened here in Australia, which gets brought up even to this week. I had somebody mention this to me, is that we have a very famous show here called The Footy Show. And there were two rugby players that were arm wrestling. And I think they had done it the week prior as well. The week prior, everything went fine. Somebody won a match. And then this week was either a rematch or it was two other guys that were competing. And it was separate to the Footy Show. They've just gone, we'll bring these two guys in. We'll do an arm wrestle with these two rugby guys. And of course, what happens? Somebody breaks their arm on live national TV, seen by millions of people, and got a viral moment that people have clipped and got uploaded and talked about for years. And that was probably 10 plus years ago. And as I said, it still gets brought up all the time. So say we brought on Forrest Griffin. Let's say we did a Forrest Griffin, Stephen Bonner arm wrestling match. Forrest breaks his arm and it's a disaster for us from a PR perspective. And it makes arm wrestling look bad. And it's unfair to both Forrest and Stephen to put them in a position where they don't know what they're doing at the sport. And there is safety aspects to this, and it is very much a strength and combat sport. And I always liken it to putting two people who have no idea what they're doing in a boxing ring and saying, just go and have a punch on and see what happens. Nothing good is going to happen with that. So that's my hesitation with that.
Yeah.
The Drew, Brandon Allen, and others are here. We can pre-qualify them to get a general level check and basically prep like for safety. Yes. Yeah. Well, this thing is, again, the AWE, we're looking to put the best possible matches together with the best possible athletes. And I wouldn't want to sacrifice that for the celebrity, freak show match. And just because there's people there that are available and they're interested doesn't mean that we want to jeopardize our promotion to put them on the card. And it's like, okay, you guys want to arm wrestle, go and do it for YouTube or something like that. I don't want to see it on a live pay-per-view that people have paid money for, that is represented for the AWE, and somebody gets injured, because then the fingers get pointed at us. Why did you put people who don't know what they're doing on the card? Not professional. Somebody's really hurt themselves. Everybody saw it, and it was gruesome and it was horrible. It's not like in the UFC where somebody will break their leg with a leg kick or something like that, and it's just a bit of a freak accident. That is, to a degree, something that can be expected because it is that realm of sport. But ideally, you won't see any injuries take place.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a active point of discussion amongst us here at the AWE, because there is something attractive about bringing big names or influencers together across an arm wrestling table, and that the crossover marketability of an event when you do have those names that are well established in other fields competing in the sport. And of course, you've got to just balance that off against, well, what's the benefit associated with having such a match on, and what's the downside? And one bad arm break viral video, is that going to undo all the good work of maybe 10 or so of these celebrity matchups? And that's the question mark. And so if we were in a position where we could really prepare these athletes, and now here's the other thing: we do know that the specificity around arm wrestling, such that it does take time to build up those muscle groups, and the tendon strength, and the cartilage build up, and all of those things that mean that when you're competing and giving it your all, you're largely protected in a way that, say, a lay person or somebody who hasn't ever prepared themselves for an event wouldn't be. So I guess it's a point of conjecture. It is a point of discussion. It's something we've bounced around amongst ourselves, and we would love to see. We would love to see some crossover athletes make their way. Of course, the popularity of our sport is where it's at because of crossover athletes like Larry Wheels and Juji, who have brought a whole new audience to the sport of arm wrestling that wasn't previously there. So balancing things off and weighing them up, and also understanding that we've got a brand, AWE, that and we're hoping to attract increasing amounts of advertising and marketing revenue into the business. We want to support those sponsors, and we don't want to leave a sour taste in anybody's mouth when they walk away from an AWE event.
Yeah, that's right. And it's almost like the UFC would never put on a match with two celebrities and just who've never trained, who've never done it before, and just go, oh yeah, we've got these two famous people. Let's put them in a cage match and see what happens. That's not a good idea. That's not going to happen. What I like to see, and what I do like seeing, is when you do get those crossover athletes and they get on with a professional arm wrestler who can show them what to do, and who in the other athlete's mind, they're having a match. Reality is the professional is controlling every aspect of what's happening on the table. But one of the most viral moments of arm wrestling was Hathor Bjornsson and Devin Larratt, world's strongest man, getting absolutely dominated by somebody who was half of his weight in arm wrestling. And you would think everyone that looks at Hathor and says, well, this guy's almost 7 foot tall, and he's like 200 kilos, and he's the strongest man in the world, and he is getting toyed with by somebody that's 100 kilos in something that a lot of people see as, this is a strength sport, a strength only sport.
Yeah, so like a feat of strength, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So I like those elements where it's like, say you've got somebody who is a tremendous boxer or a tremendous athlete in some respect, and it's like, okay, we'll show you arm wrestling, and they're like, great, I'm strong, I'm fit and healthy, I'm explosive, and it's like, okay, we'll get on the table, and then they find out that very quickly that all of those things mean absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Because they cannot access their strength in any which way.
Mm.
I know you're very keen on this, Drew. You're pushing this aspect. I don't like it, and I don't think we're going to do it.
What's this?
A responsible arm wrestler who knows what to do, 50 pounds closer. Yeah, I'd rather see a proper competitive match between two elite athletes than a celebrity match. I'd do it for YouTube. I wouldn't do it for the AWE pay-per-view.
Drew, I like the idea of celebrity matchup, but I also understand the potential for commercial downside. Arm wrestling still is very much in its infancy. It's still struggling for legitimacy when it comes to securing corporate partners, sponsorship, and money into the sport. We've got a real opportunity to present the sport in the most professional of ways, and I don't know if going the way of celebrity matchups is going to be of overall benefit it might be a little bit of a flare-up moment that might create some energy and some views. But if it all goes sour, then and somebody does break their arm, then there is the potential for tremendous downside. So it's balancing those commercial interests off with our aspirations to attract more attention to the sport. Oh, hang on. Hollywood's opening the UFC jar. Let's
we have to get the coins out here.
Okay.
Because I haven't got a coin to put in.
You haven't donated anything as yet, but so this is officially the first.
Here we go.
This is excellent.
James Toney, when he went into the UFC, he was a heavyweight boxer, champion boxer, and he got a match set up with Randy Couture in the UFC, and he got absolutely decimated in, I think, a minute. And even the referee said, "Why don't you tap out?" He literally said, "Why don't you tap out?" Right? Because he's getting crushed, and it was like, and he is a world champion, multiple time heavyweight boxer. It is two different things. And so, you got a celebrity, you put him into the arm wrestling scene. It's always fun to see somebody give it a go. Absolutely. And to see, especially if that celebrity happens to be very, muscular or strong, or they come from that background or combat sports background, and see him getting absolutely manhandled by somebody that's a quarter of their body weight. That is always fantastic to see. Would I want to put it on a pay-per-view event where we are looking to put on the best arm wrestling matches that we possibly can? Not really. I'd much prefer to see that and do that as a promotional thing. Hey, let's go and I'll jump on the table with, I don't know, Forrest Griffin or something like that, and show him what to do, and it'd be amazing, and he would hopefully have a really good time, and he's going to walk away without an injury, and it's going to look good for the camera, for the YouTube, and everything like that. So that attracts me a lot more than potentially putting him in for one of our events and then a horrible injury happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And further to that, the Drew follows up with just figuring out how to get more exposure to the non-arm wrestling audience. This is a way we have time to figure it out, and indeed we do. And maybe, and we do know, like, there's a lot of elite athletes that are able to cross over into other disciplines and have done so very, very successfully. And maybe it's not a matter of taking an elite athlete and chucking them in the deep end. Maybe it is just inducting an elite athlete into the world of arm wrestling, getting them into a club, getting them training, getting them to experience some regional super matches, maybe a tournament here and there, so that they've got the conditioning up, they understand how to look after themselves on the table, so that they're not vulnerable, and then bleed them through that way. So there's definitely a pathway. It just might not be a matter of getting Michael Jordan against LeBron James on the table and expecting magic to happen. That's all.
Absolutely. Well, even Larry Wheels, I mean, he's coming from setting all these world records in crazy lifts where he's just ridiculously strong. And he stepped onto the arm wrestling table and obviously wasn't able to win, wasn't able to use his strength, but he consisted with it and persisted and got training with some of the best people in the world. And he has really enjoyed the sport, started an organization around it, and has competed several times. I don't think he's been super successful as a competitive arm wrestler, but he's obviously enjoying himself, and his skills have definitely improved. And you could say, okay, let's put this guy against somebody who's quite good, not the elite guys, but somebody that is at those upper levels. Sure, that'd be a fun match to see.
He's a Mexican open weight champion right now.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's cool. In Mexico. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah. He's continuing to improve, which is fantastic to see that he's stuck with it, that he has a passion for it, that he's enjoying it. And then he's taking on these challenges and improving, which is incredible. But it has been a couple of years that he's been doing this. Yeah. It's not like he just decided to do this last week and now he's going up against, if he went against Schoolboy a week later, it's like, well, that's just pointless,
Yeah.
But the fact that he's improved and that he's gaining these skills and sticking with it is tremendous to see. And not only that, from an arm wrestling audience perspective, so many people are fans of Larry from the other side of what he does, which is the strength stuff and the bodybuilding stuff, and then they get to see arm wrestling maybe for the first time, and it's like, okay, what's he doing here? And obviously Larry's just going to crush this person. I saw him just doing 100-kilo presses, like dumbbell presses with barbells on.
Yeah.
And it's like he's on the arm wrestling table against some skinny dude, and the skinny dude's just crushing him. But it's like, this doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. So the Drew is, do you think that Brian Shaw will be ready for AWE? Well, let's find out. Let's find out. Only time will tell.
They did have Eddie Hall was training to have a match, and I believe it was with Thor.
Well, it has been an event within the strongman pantheon of events. So they face off across the table. So the strongmen in particular aren't strangers to the world of arm wrestling, but they don't. It's fair to say most don't train specifically for it, or don't have a background in the sport, with few exceptions. So.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. I do believe they were lining up a match with Eddie Hall and Hathor at some point. The thing this was prior to when they had their boxing match, because there's a video of Eddie training with Neil Pickup, and Neil was running him through the fundamentals. Yeah, which was interesting. Obviously, they had a boxing match instead.
Yeah,
but, which was highly entertaining. I don't know if you watched that.
Yeah. I guess that's kind of more to Drew's point, where you've got Hathor there. He's trained specifically for a little while in boxing, or for actually, I think from Thor's perspective, I think it might have been like the best part of a year or so, building up to that particular fight. Got himself into great shape, and then Eddie Hall on the other hand also put in effort. One would think maybe not quite as much as what Thor did, but nonetheless, and that they've gone through a camp and they've got themselves prepared, and then they've been thrown in the deep end, and Eddie was found to be a little bit lacking there, and it was more in the boxing technique. It wasn't, but nonetheless, you've got probably an average fight was the result, but a lot of attention on that fight. Was it a great fight for boxing? Well, can anybody remember who the promoter was? And what's been the legacy of that matchup? And I guess for boxing, there wasn't anybody to kind of leverage from that. But in AWE, if we were to have these, of course, we might be able to leverage something from it. But if one of those athletes gets injured, the chances are both of the athletes are unlikely to come back.
Yes.
So we've got to be very careful on this. I mean, arm wrestling is one of those sports where people are more susceptible to injury, and it's not just an injury, but it's an injury that will take them out of doing what their primary interest is for some time.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's right. And we do get a lot of people that even just they come to the club
driving.
Yeah, that's right. Just your everyday being able to move your arms. We've had so many people that have come through the arm wrestling club. They've had a fantastic time, and because they're having fun and everyone's being nice and letting them work, and they're training and they're giving it absolutely everything for 3 hours or something, and then they don't come back because their arms are absolutely wrecked. And it's like they might work as a plumber or a fitter, as a turner, and they're just like, oh, I cannot move my arms and I can't do my job properly. It's one of those things that if you are building into it, it's very hard to stop people when they're having fun, to be like, just back off a little bit. Like, you don't have to go so crazy. Like, I know you want to win and I know you're being competitive, but let's focus on getting it correct. And, you don't have to go 100% on everything, but, some people just are having a good time, and, they just want to see if they can beat you. And
yeah, absolutely. And on the pre-recorded aspect, so the Drew comments that's why you'd have proper precautions, and those promo matches would be pre-recorded. And you look as standalone events, I think as Matt may have alluded to, pre-recorded, standalone, away from, I guess, the main card of an AWE event, as a piece of entertainment. Maybe that's something that could well be considered, and I'm sure will be increasingly as the popularity of the sport continues to grow.
Yes.
And there continues to be more and more curiosity from the bodybuilding world, from the strongman world, from the football codes, from all of these sports as people's attention turns to arm wrestling. I am very, very confident that there'll be an increasing number of celebrity sportsmen, women matchups that will come to bear. Whether that happens, I don't think that an AWE pay-per-view card is the place for that, but maybe there is another format, maybe like a pre-recorded type of format.
So pre-recorded so that you could skip past the arm break section. Yeah, I wanted to be live. Yeah, that's right. Well, we'll change the topic of conversation a little bit. We'll go back to the Last Man Standing event, because I absolutely loved that event, and you competed in that event.
I did. I competed in the event. Yeah.
You're trying to win your own money back.
Yeah, that's right. Get some of that coin back. And look, as an athlete, it was exciting. I never felt I was at any chance of spending the most amount of time in the king position, but I was just enough of a chance to be standing on the other side of the to end up there, that it was worth me persisting for that hour. And I couldn't move my arm for 3 weeks afterwards, but it was worth going through it. And I think the other athletes that were competing were pretty much of the same mind. And in the event that you described earlier, Laz had pretty much accumulated enough time in that king position to assure himself of the prize money from that perspective. So really, the other 7 or 8 athletes that were competing in that particular event were really just fighting over the chance. It was a 1 in 7 or 1 in 8 chance of being the other person that walks away with the prize money. And so it was enough for everybody to keep coming back for punishment. Even as the pain escalated and the inflammation grew and the joints yelled out, nonetheless, we returned to the table to try and make sure that we were on that table at the end, giving ourselves a chance of securing that prize money. And so I can just imagine if there's 10, 15, 20 athletes competing over it. I think there's so many variables, and it's so thoroughly entertaining to watch. And imagine getting 300 arm wrestling matches in an hour. I mean, you're definitely getting bang for buck. So we will be broadcasting that as part of our free viewing as part of AWE3. So you pay for the pay-per-view, of course, if you're wanting to check out all of the super matches. But that event that happens straight afterwards will be that event, and you'll be able to tune in and enjoy that for free.
Yeah, it's tremendous. If you have a look on my channel, the Hollywood Matt Connolly YouTube channel, and if you subscribe, that would be appreciated. That you can have a look at that Last Man Standing event, and I still go back and just watch sections of it, because it's absolutely hilarious, and it's just mayhem. And it is guys. You're beating people you would never normally beat.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're absolutely wrecked.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that we titled it Last Man Standing as well, because people kept dropping out.
Yeah. We had a few injuries.
Yeah, well, not injuries, but they were just wrecked. Like I think 10 minutes in, Hamza pulled out
a junior camp.
I was shocked. I was shocked and appalled.
And we want to give a very big thanks to everybody who's subscribed to the AWE channel already. We hit 1,000 subscribers this week. Our Instagram page reached over 50,000 people. The numbers have gone up massively since AWE 2. So thank you very much for for all of the support, and to everybody who's been kind enough to tune into a podcast like this, or has been watching our videos. We love you. We thank you. We're now at 1,058 subscribers. Hollywood has just brought onto the screen.
That's right. 671 in the last 28 days, which is absolutely tremendous to see. That the growth has been spectacular, and that's thanks to you guys who are watching right now. If you haven't subscribed, it would be very much appreciated if you headed over to the AWE YouTube channel, and also it would help me out if you went to the Hollywood Matt Connolly YouTube channel as well. But
you don't have to do that.
Yeah, it would be nice if you did.
Phil
Woody.
Phil Woody's got behind you.
He has. That's right. He's the subscriber. He says, "What's up, gents? Good morning from the UK. Good morning to you, Phil Woody." And
good morning, Phil.
There it is. There, the Matt Connolly Hollywood
What
Matt
a generous
Connolly YouTube
man.
channel. What a legend, Phil Woody, putting up that link that everyone is going to click on and then click subscribe.
Subscribe.
Yeah, that's right, Drew. We're trying to get those channels over 1,000 subscribers. We also have to hit this watch hours thing as well, which we didn't realize was part
We were
of.
shooting for 1,000 subscribers, thinking we're going to get monetized as we do that, only to discover that you also need 4,000 watch hours, and we're a wee bit short of that. So we're still a little bit away. So if you've been itching to give us a super chat and haven't been able to, that is why. And you might be a little while off yet. So we'll keep pumping out the content and delivering these podcasts. And please, if you're liking what you're seeing, don't hesitate. Like, subscribe. Make sure that you're getting alerts as soon as any of our videos or content becomes available. And of course, what you're going to be wanting to keep an eye out for is some of the big announcements that are coming. And tonight's announcements are that we have a last man standing event as part of AWE 3 and a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So the tournament will be held before AWE 3, before the super match card. And the finalists of the tournament will be competing as the first match on the main card of AWE 3.
That's right.
So and that's free to anybody who's got a right hand.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a right hand match. It's open category, and so open weight. Doesn't matter if you're 50 kilos or 150 kilos. Make your way to the tables. Give yourself every chance. And if you happen to be a finalist, you will be on the card for AWE 3.
Yeah.
And straight after AWE 3 will be the last man standing event, which is a king of the table event, as I'm sure many of you enjoy at your clubs. The only difference being there's prize money at the end and anybody can win. So you will have one athlete that spends the most amount of time on the table. That athlete will be a winner, but there are two winners in this event. The other athlete who will be claiming a prize will be that person that is in the king position at the end of the hour.
That's right.
So end of the hour, as well as most time spent in the king position, will walk away with 1,000 AWE dollars, which can be spent in the AWE store. No, the normal dollars, you can spend them anywhere you like.
But we'd like them just if you spend it there.
If you spent it there, you can get yourself a nice hat here. And that's one of our wonderful products at the AWE store. And you'll be able to find on AWEarmwrestling.com very, very soon, as that I think will be part of our announcements for next week.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the YouTube will be up and running, and that's where you'll be able to find the website will be up and running. That's where you'll be able to find out all the information about upcoming events and schedules, the athlete profiles, as well as videos and content that is all AWE related. But with the last man standing, it was very interesting for the first event that we ran that, because when I put the idea up in our group chat, and so many of the guys then started weaseling ways of how they could manipulate the rules.
Yeah.
I had to think really hard about, okay, how can I set this up so people can't just cheat their way to victory?
Yeah.
And so one of the elements that's in play is that the setups and the starts are very, very fast.
Yeah.
It's basically put your hands together, go. There is a referee, and just to make sure that nobody false starts, but it's like step up, put your hands there, go.
Flesh on flesh, go.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It doesn't matter if you got a better grip, whatever.
There's no WAF rules here.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the point of that is that even if you're losing, like you step up and you get beaten, the next person steps up, they get beaten. The person who's winning, they will get tired doing that, regardless as to who they are. And if you're smart, if you're the competitors and there's somebody really strong on the table, just stream through and just keep putting wear on that person's arm, because they will wear out within a minute or two. Because even if they're crushing everybody with ease, they does start to wear out very, very quickly. So one of the other aspects was, because it was the person who holds the king position the longest also gets a prize. They're like, well, I'm just going to keep slipping deliberately. And so, okay, well, every time that there's a slip that happens, I pause the timer while they apply the strap. So you don't get an advantage of sitting there with with the, so you can't then go, oh, I had to wait 30 seconds for the strap so I've gained another 30 seconds of king position time. No. That timer got paused and only gets started again when the referee says go for the next one. So it's and deliberate slips were a loss. So any foul, loss. There's no two fouls.
Slip in a losing position.
Yeah, slip in a losing position, and it was very strict, very harsh. It was like any slip that happened on this side, you lost.
And as a competitor, if you felt you had a bit of an unfair call or whatever, there was no point whinging. You were just off the table and trying to get to the back of the line as soon as possible, so you could have another go.
That's right.
Yeah. So it was defeated the purpose, arguing essentially.
Yeah, exactly. And plus the people who started at the so when the event starts, those competitors that are in the line, they must keep in that order. You can't change your order. They will probably put numbers or something, and making sure that people keep in that order that they're going through. So you can't sneakily just keep hanging out at the back, and then every now and then you go up and have a go. That element, as well as there's no breaks, there's no opportunity for you to to hang back or to not give your best efforts. And so there was a lot of things I had to really think about. How can I make sure that this happens and it's a fair thing? Oh, and plus nobody else can join in on the competition once it started.
That's right.
That's right. So you can't be waiting 2 minutes until the end and then enter and walk up completely fresh and win. It's no, the people who start the event are the only ones that are allowed to compete. So you have to be in there for that whole hour, which is incredible. But we did have people that with 10 minutes, Hamza dropped out. I think 20 minutes in, Big Ben was out, and there was only maybe 5 of you guys left at the end that were still running around in circles trying to get that last.
Literally running,
it was incredible. It was so good.
Yeah, so it could be good for your cardio.
Yeah, that's right. But anybody can win it. That's what's fun about it.
We want to thank our friends at Barbell Foods, and our friends at Barbell Foods are wonderful. They are purveyors of biltong. Now, what is biltong? So biltong, for lovers of beef jerky, there's a lot that you'll enjoy about biltong. Very, very similar, except that beef jerky is oven dried. Whereas biltong is air dried. It's a South African process, but it's one that leaves the meat tasting delicious, and they leave a little bit of fat on there, which is just delectable. And you can buy Barbell Foods biltong in a pack, just as you see it there, in a snack pack where it's already pre-prepared and ready to go, or you can buy the steaks, which I enjoy because I like just the manliness of cutting my meat on a bit of wood and with a big knife. But you can do it either way. And so if you enter the code word arm wrestler, you will get a discount. Now we want to thank our friends at Barbell Foods. We've shifted nearly $5,000 worth of product through that affiliate program so far, and it's been a great partnership, and we look forward to working with Barbell Foods. Obviously, arm wrestlers love the protein, they love the taste, and we love the support that the team there at Barbell Foods offer us. So thank you very much to our friends at Barbell Foods, and thank you everybody out there that's jumped on, used the code word, and let the guys there at Barbell Foods know that they're getting some love from the AWE community.
I do believe it's arm wrestle as the code.
Oh, arm wrestle. Don't enter arm wrestler. Engen Terzi gets all the money.
He's got enough.
Yeah, as it turns out, spending plenty of money on contracts.
I'm a fan of Ruler of the Nation. I'm not exactly sure what that is. I haven't heard of it, Phil. Maybe if you enlighten us, that would be fantastic. Exciting stuff. I'm running a similar style tournament up in the better half of the hemisphere, which is the south. Didn't know you were in town. So we've also got,
it'll be the better half of the world. The better half of this hemisphere would be still in the southern hemisphere,
right? Yeah.
So Phil, I think you're in the UK, so you're on the better.
You're on the
half
opposite
of the world in a different hemisphere. But Phil, very interested in your thoughts on that. What got you thinking about that style and format, and whether you've had any experience with that previously. Very exciting. So Phil Woody, again, exciting stuff. I'm running a similar type of tournament in the better half of the hemisphere. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, have you been to the upper part of the hemisphere?
I've not been any further north than Whyalla.
Are you serious?
No, I've been to Queensland.
Oh, that's a lot further north.
Bit further north.
A little bit further.
Yeah.
Further.
Further.
It's even further.
No, you are.
It's right.
The Barbell Foods. So let's check out the site. Thank you very much to Drew. Always supporting us. They show how they make their product. And if you do follow their Instagram page, actually, they've got some great videos on that. These guys are very much masters of their craft, and they love to be able to share with you how it is that they go about making the product, and they're very open about their processes, and that level of transparency obviously lends an enormous amount of credibility. They're obviously very, very passionate about what they do, and they do a great job with it as well. So definitely jump onto their Instagram page, check them out. They've got views going through the roof on all of their videos. They're doing great things over there. Fantastic marketers of their business, and at the end of the day, it is just a small business. They're not a massive concern. They're not a multinational. They're just little guys doing what they love and doing a great job.
They're short guys. They're 5'1", I think.
Yeah, they're dwarfs.
They're just little guys doing
little guys. It's little guys.
That's right. That's why the packet's a little.
Yeah. And the arm wrestle code 10% off. That's what you need to do. You need to punch in the code word arm wrestle, not arm wrestler. Don't let Engin get a cent, and make sure that you're getting 10% off whenever you go over to barbellfoods.com.
What's been some of your favorite moments in your arm wrestling career? I'll say career because the times you've done arm wrestling. Last Man Standing event was a tremendous. I mean, I lost by a lot, so but it was 6 other people.
But it was good fun. Really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed. Being a part of the first 2 AWE events, of course, not competing naturally, but being able to spend some time with the athletes and to be there and part of those historic moments has been a wonderful thrill, and finally doing this podcast with you.
Oh yeah, okay, that's great. Yeah, absolutely. It is something to look forward to every week. It's like, is it Thursday yet? Oh, great. Yeah. It's been fantastic.
And yourself, how's your arm wrestling? Where did it peak?
Peak. It's all over now.
It was a great moment.
Still on the upwards trajectory.
You're still on the way up.
I'm hoping. It's been absolutely fantastic. A favorite moment. This is the thing. I should think of answers before I ask other people questions.
Yeah,
because I'm naturally going to ask.
One of my favorite moments of your arm wrestling career was listening back to AWE 1 to the commentary, and essentially I had the pay-per-view event just playing, and I was listening to the event more than what I was watching it, and to hear you and Ryan, the synergy that you had as commentators, the articulate nature that you which is completely different to how I'm explaining it. But
was it as good as the way you were explaining?
You very eloquent, very articulate, very thoughtful, and very considered commentary. And I thought it was world class, and a great credit to you both.
Oh, thank you very much. Could you tell who was Ryan and who was me?
I had no idea.
Because I wasn't there.
The whole thing was Ryan Bowen.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, that is good. My favorite moment of that event was you on the pay-per-view stream very clearly announcing that somebody had parked in front of the chicken shop.
A Nissan.
And then became
a white Nissan.
The chat was all about somebody move your Nissan. Why did you say Nissan like that? What's a chicken shop? Like, that was so good. That was so funny.
Like a fish and chip shop for those people that are in England. I don't know what the equivalent in America. Do you have chicken shops or fish and chip shops?
I don't know what
in the US.
Yeah.
Did you ever see any when you were over there? There's plenty in Greece. Greece are still, I don't know if Greece is the historical home of the fish and chip shop. I know it's a big UK institution, or used to be, and you can't really go through a suburb in Australia without stumbling across a chicken shop or a fish and chip shop.
Yeah.
Not sure what you call them there in America, but it'd be a chicken. This one was a chicken shop. And the only variant or the only differentiation between a fish and chip shop and a chicken shop is the caricature of the animal that you're eating on the sign.
Exactly the same food inside. just a different animal.
It'll be the suburb chicken shop instead of the suburb fish and chip shop, and instead of like a shark standing there looking all happy he's about to be eaten and crumbed, you've got a chook there
Chicken
that's always got feathers, which
got
is strange
some-
because you never eat a chicken with feathers on.
No, that's right.
You're always gonna
Yeah.
So, but you don't see the chicken without any feathers looking happy about to be eaten. No.
It's normally some sort of
It's a very happy, plump looking rooster.
It's basically foghorn leghorn, but like a slight difference so they can't get sued. Maybe he's wearing a hat.
That's exactly what it is.
It's the same. It's that exact image, and then I don't know. They put shoes on him, or they've got. He's wearing a shirt. I don't know.
So for those not familiar with the menu of a chicken shop or a fish and chip shop, you can get chips.
Yeah.
Now chips
minimum chips.
minimum chips.
It's the same size as large chips. They just wrap them up. They don't care. They're like chips. Yep, sure. Minimum, whatever.
$5, $10. Doesn't matter what you pay, you get to the same amount.
That's right.
You get the choice of chicken salt, which misleadingly leads would you'd naturally feel like that salt that tastes like chicken. It doesn't taste like chicken. If chicken tastes like chicken salt, you'd never eat chicken again.
That's true.
But chicken salt on its own is pretty good.
It is.
So chicken salt. So you'd have chips. Vinegar's an option on your chips.
Vinegar's good.
Yeah. So you can go with your standard salt, your chicken salt, or vinegar. They're the three condiments you're allowed to have on the chips. You can go home and put sauce, tomato sauce or ketchup.
The paper.
On the side of the paper if you want to, but that's something you'll have to do yourself. The chicken shop owner will have nothing to do with that.
No, they'll charge you extra for that.
They'll charge you extra, but they may give you a little thing of mayonnaise that you don't want.
No,
just
right.
for free.
Yeah.
Even though you haven't asked for
That's
it,
right.
they might just give it to you anyway.
They bought a lot of them that they don't need.
They're very generous with the mayonnaise, aren't they?
That's right.
Must be a glut of mayonnaise somewhere around the country.
So it's like sushi where they give you those little soy sauce packets, and they'll give you like 50 of them every time. So you get one roll. Here's 50 fucking soy sauces.
What is it going to swim back in the soy sauce? So you'll get that. You can get like a hot dog, but it's not a hot dog like you might know in America because the sausage isn't
Wiener.
the wiener. The sausage is deep fat fried.
I do like how you're continuously doing that movement.
It's long.
So we know that it's a sausage. Does everyone know what that is? We'll just one more time. We'll demonstrate what that is. There you go. Now you know. It's not a balloon.
No,
it's not a children's balloon. It is a sausage.
It's a poodle. So you can get you could get you could get yourself a piece of course, a half a chicken,
right?
Half a chook, a roast chook that's been on a rotisserie for 3 days. You can buy one of those.
It's still there now.
Yeah. You could get yourself a nice little battered flake or a bit of, a bit of shark. And you can get yourself a little bit of butterfish, which is always delightful.
Whiting.
A little bit of whiting. They seem to be the varieties that are available: flake, whiting, butterfish. I think they're all the same.
They are the same. They are the same as the chicken.
They're indetectable. you can't tell the difference between. There's no in flavor or consistency or quality. They're all the same.
When they ask you if you want it battered or crumbed,
battered,
I never know what to say, and I just guess. I guess,
really?
Yeah.
I mean,
change it each time, and then I get the same thing regardless.
Always get battered. Always get battered. But they're your two options.
Right.
You can have your meat covered in either batter or in a crumbed. That's the two choices you're offered at a fish and chip shop.
Yeah.
So that's what a fish and chip shop is.
You seem very passionate about.
I love fish and chips. Well, I do. If I'm going to have a little piece of fish, and I'm going to have it battered.
Right.
That's for sure. So,
what if it was crumbed?
I wouldn't want it.
Okay.
Yeah, literally, I wouldn't eat it.
Would you put your Nissan in front of the shop?
What I do like is that you'll get this little piece of fish, and for no reason whatsoever, it'll be half a lemon that'll just be chucked in. So
here's your salad.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Dim Sims, which no one really knows what's inside a dim sim. It's just a little bit of it's basically
sponge. I think
it's like a deep fat fried pasta, if you can imagine, with a real shitty pastry, and it's just but with more dodgy meat in it than dodgy meat and vegetables. So it's like all the bad bits that you might normally get in a pie or a pasty are condensed and put into a dim sim. It's just everything that you shouldn't eat mixed with MSG.
Tastes fantastic.
It's great.
Yeah, especially with sauce.
And you can get a deep fat Mars Mars
I
bar.
haven't tried that.
Yeah,
It's been around for a long time.
It's
and
always an option.
it does look very weird.
And strangely enough, they do have a dessert menu, which would normally be a custard tart that's just been left in the fridge for maybe 3 or 4 weeks, or cinnamon donuts. And you think cinnamon donuts are fish all taste like garfish.
They do. They've absorbed the flavour. That's right.
They don't taste like your normal cinnamon donuts.
No,
it's like fish and cinnamon.
That's right. In a circle.
In a circle of death. So that's a fish and chip shop. If you're in America and wondering, if you're in the UK, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They're pretty much the same. Levan Chicken Levitsky. Levan from when will AWE 3 happen? 3rd or 4th week of October. Waiting on venues to confirm, and then we will get those dates out there. You'll be able to buy tickets and the pay-per-view via the awearmwrestling.com website. That will also be launching in the next week or so. So that'll be part of our suite of announcements for next week. We hope to have our event venue locked down. We hope to have the dates locked down, and we hope to have our
Phil
website
Woody locked down.
done, and Phil Woody locked down. Indeed, yes,
locked up.
KFC and Long John Silver's. I'm
guessing that's their version of the chicken shop.
Yeah, right. Well, KFC's a bit of a different thing.
Nah. Fried Mars bar, Scotland speciality.
Yes. So I'd say we're very multicultural here in Australia. We embrace all cultures, and all cultures that deep fat fry anything. We love them. They're great.
What is it like?
Sorry,
the deep fried Mars bar. What does it taste like?
It tastes fucking horrible.
You've just talked it up and said it's a cultural thing.
So see, there's certain foods that should only be eaten after 11 p.m. And
when you're drunk.
Yeah. And a gyros is one of those.
That's true.
Or a kebab.
But they don't open until 11 o'clock.
Oh, there's like a million words for a gyros, isn't there?
Yeah. Kebab.
And here's the only place that you call it a gyros.
Is it?
But kebab, I think, is more generally across Australia. Most people call it a kebab.
Yeah.
Here, where in this little part of the world we live in, we would call that quite comfortably a gyros.
Yeah.
I don't know what they. I don't know what they call. I think they call it kebabs.
No, that's the stick thing.
That's the stick that goes in there. There are different names around the world for the fabled gyros kebab, and you can buy one of those things in a fish and chip shop or a chicken shop.
Yeah,
they just won't be. They won't be as good. But the fried Mars bar. It's it's very, very interesting. Little bit of
if you could describe the taste, what
if there's a noise,
chewy doorstop.
It's well, I mean, it's all the flavor of Mars bar ratcheted up to a sickening level.
I'm gonna try it.
No, it's disgusting.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, it's bad. It's terrible.
Maybe we'll bring one in for the next podcast.
Okay. Yeah. But you're saying it's terrible.
Yes, it is. It's awful.
Oh.
Yeah, but no.
We'll bring an awful thing for you to eat. We get you to do it in front of everyone.
Yeah. No, you'll love it.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Neo says we don't really have fish and chip shops. We do have local mom and pop fried food establishments, though. Yeah, mom and pop fried food establishment. That's a long sentence. A mom and pop fried food establishment. Fish and chip shop.
Yeah. Well, I'd say a fish and chip shop is pretty much along those lines. They're normally small businesses, not part of big chains or anything like. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've ever seen a fish and chip shop that's part of a franchise or loads of. They're all mum and dad businesses.
They
normally managed by people that never leave the shop either. They sleep under the counter. Yeah,
Tatiana Gregorieva.
Yeah,
she owned one.
Did she really?
Yeah.
Tatiana Gregorieva.
Yeah.
Did you know her manager was Rick Carter?
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So he works just outside the door here. Yeah, it's when she won the silver medal. We could invite him in. But,
are you serious? He's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Yeah. So Olympic silver medalist. I believe. Yeah. So when's Lachlan going to be at AWE again? Lachlan Carpenter or Lachlan Adair?
We're not sure. Well, maybe you'll see one or the other or both or none at AWE 3. We'll wait. We've announced 3 matches so far for AWE 3.
What are those 3 matches?
They are, in fact, Masahiro Saito versus Ryan Bowen. There are Raul Paniker and Josh Barker. And we also have, what is the third one that we've announced for that?
Marcus and...
that's right. The biggest match ever in history, Marcus Atirai and Matawaringi Hedda Morris, absolutely. But stay tuned, StreadCon 1. We will find out the rest of the card within the next week or 2.
Coming very, very soon.
And he says that the deep fried Mars bar tastes like diabetes and insulin shock.
That's the worst of both worlds.
Sounds fantastic. The Drew says fried chops, sponsored by Big Pharma. Delicious.
Are they?
Neo says in the USA we call them
gyros.
I think is it gyro, a silent G?
Oh, gyros. You call them gyros. So we call them gyros, and you go with the G, which is
either gyros or gyros. I'm not
So
sure.
no idea how the G got there. Yeah. So in other words, you call them gyros. We also call them gyros, but we would spell them YIROS. So I think we're onto the same thing. Gyroses and kebabs are the same thing, and it looks like they're cousins of your Euros, but with a G.
Yeah, absolutely. Couch Apple, the Great Dane, has joined us here. He says, Good evening, Matt and Dave. Hope you are doing great. We are doing very well. Thank you very much.
All the better for seeing you in the comments, Couch Apple. Well, we understand you're a very, very busy man, an international man of mystery.
He is. Sure. A big fan of deep fried Mars bars, I believe.
I believe that's what fuels him, and that's why you see him in every chat in the arm wrestling world. I'm curious to know your viewpoint. If vegans could even develop as strong tendons as meat eaters, I think vegans just generally are weaker in every respect. I haven't met a single vegan that's stronger than a comparable human being that is a meat eater. I think vegans are weak, usually useless, and probably largely unnecessary and surplus to the requirements of the planet. So if all the vegans died, there'd be more meat for everybody and less carbon emissions.
You've only met them because they have to come up a flight of stairs to be able to meet you.
So my viewpoint is no. I think vegans are always going to be weaker. Is there any science? Can we back that up with science?
We probably can.
Excellent.
So anyway, I don't know.
Have you ever become vegan? Have you ever gone on the vegan bandwagon?
I do the complete opposite and go all meat.
So you're all biltong. You're 100% biltong.
Oh, yeah. I'm not a fan of vegetables and nothing else.
Yeah.
And air.
So if you have a meal and say you've got a nice, a nice steak and you got some nice potatoes there, maybe some nice roast potatoes, and you've got your normal accompaniment of say peas and carrots, maybe a little bit of cauliflower.
Push to the side.
What do you eat first?
I will eat the steak and the potatoes, and I won't touch the stuff.
You actually won't eat it?
Oh, no.
Even if it's on your plate?
No.
So when your wife makes you these meals, she won't put the vegetables
She does, and it gets left.
It gets left. Who gets that? Is it going to be the dog? The dog. The dog.
The dog who doesn't eat it either, and it lays in the back lawn.
Just sorry, now this is like a veggie patch on the other side of your dining room window.
Yeah,
that's just simply growing off the offcuts.
It's a mountain that grows every night. The peas are gone.
Decompose and then just regenerate.
That's right. It goes back into the earth and then recycles, and I throw it back out.
So
again.
you hate vegetables as well?
I'm not a fan at all. No.
What about fruit?
I'm not a big fan.
I'm not a big fan of fruit.
No.
So, do you eat any fruit at all, like willingly? Oh, somebody said he's a nice apple, Matthew. I've got you a nice apple. What about an orange?
No.
Would you take a lemon and squeeze it in your drink? No.
No.
So.
No, not interested.
Not interested. No interest in it.
No.
So it's meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's the diet.
That's it. Yeah. Maybe,
Pasta.
Yeah.
You have a lot of pasta. Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit,
Yeah, yeah, but mostly meat.
mostly.
Yeah. I'm the same. I'm the same.
All right.
Yeah. I
There
mean,
you go.
I'll eat whatever vegetables are put on my plate, but I'll eat them first
Uh,
because I want them out. I want them gone, so I can just concentrate on and retain the flavors of the meat and the potatoes
Right.
long after the meal, so I don't have that lingering aftertaste of cauliflower. You know, I know nobody wants that.
No, not at all. Drew, yes, we're supposed to be talking about arm wrestling. we were answering Couch Apple's question.
Yes.
And Couch Apple also followed that up with, we've seen their muscles can get comparable strength levels to meat eaters.
That's not true.
But haven't seen much on tendons. Well,
No.
I am not sure. This isn't our area of expertise, unfortunately. We're not dietitians, and we haven't conducted any research on vegans.
But we'll say I'm 48 years old.
And that sleeve is just hanging on. Oh, look out. That sleeve, look how tight that sleeve is. It's about to literally rip. It's painted on. Couch Apples is apparently once that he's very into this at the moment. What, did you just read a book or something?
One study demonstrates that people who don't eat red meat or chicken have higher chance of bone fractures, but they did not correct. I've got a funny feeling, and there was a study. It was the collagen. So the collagen, and if you're having some offal and some fat, and you're getting some of that stuff in your diet, that's very, very good for your tendons, very, very good for your bones, very, very good for your joints. And from what I understand, you don't get any of that in apples or
hopefully not.
No.
Hopefully not.
And are these vegan questions? It's funny that these vegan questions are coming from Couch Apple and not Couch Meat.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Is potato still? Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? Yeah. Maybe on the borderline.
Yeah.
If it tastes anything good, man, we've got to get rid of that.
Yeah. I think the only reason you're suffering potatoes is because they're like the meat of the vegetable world, aren't they?
Absolutely. Mr. Downwardo, which might be a play on Bow and Contrado. G'day, fellas. Hope you're all well. Was wondering what Dave's post was the other day on Insta about other organizations looking at AWE athletes and having to deal with contracts, etc.
Yes. Well, what that post was very much all about was that since AWE 2, the rumor mill has been certainly generating a lot of feedback, and it does appear that there are contracts being offered to many of the top athletes in the world, and those that attended AWE2. Some of those athletes have been the recipient of some of these conversations, and so there are contracts out there being offered, long-term contracts being offered to athletes for several years, 2 and 3 years. These are exclusive agreements that would prohibit an athlete that was signed to that promotion to be able to compete in, say, AWE or Armed Gods or any of your other favorite promotions. And so this is very much a power play. This is an attempt to ensure that many of the biggest names and the best talent in the world that currently is out there is bottled up and is concentrated on one of 2 promotions. There also seems to Intel, and I could be wrong on this, but there seems to be some degree of collusion between some promotions out there as well to ensure that talent pool is locked up for only certain events, and so limiting your opportunity as a fan to be able to watch these athletes compete against a more diverse range of competitors, but also ensuring that your eyeballs are firmly stuck onto their promotions when it comes to seeing some of these big names that you already know and love. Now, it is my understanding that not all of these athletes have signed such agreements, and that there's naturally with any type of contractual agreement, there'd be some degree of negotiation. And I'm sure that each and every agreement would be slightly bespoke and different, catering to the needs of each and every athlete. So we're not going to talk specifically about any agreements, but just generally speaking, there are contracts being offered to top name athletes that would restrict their ability to be able to compete on any other events or any other promotions. And that's very sad from our perspective. I think we kind of were in the midst of the dark days during the WAL period during COVID, where a lot of athletes were tied to agreements that did exactly this, and then weren't provided with those opportunities to be able to compete, and were somewhat frustrated. And so a lot of athletes seem to have enjoyed the freedom that the last year or two has brought, and given them the chance to travel the world. But also, with all things, money gets involved, and some of these big promotions understand that they can have 24 matches on their card, for instance, but if they don't have a big name in the last two, no one's watching. So that's the thing. So if these guys can't get big names, no one cares about their promotion. That's it. They need big names or they're dead in the water. It's over. So that's where it comes down to. So essentially, if you're a big name in the sport right now, I'm sure you would have had a phone call or an email or a text message from
Carrier pigeon.
Carrier pigeon is also one of the preferred methods of service, and you you would you would have something in front of you right now that would do one or two things. One, one of a few things, I should say. One is going to give you more money than what you've had before to compete, which we're all about. We want the athletes to get a big payday. We want arm wrestling to go pro. That's definitely what we want. So we love that. We love that the athletes are getting big payday out of it. So number one, big payday, very, very good. It's a big payday for a few. It's not a big payday for the many, but it's a big payday for the few. It does that. It also means that those athletes are going to be told when to compete, where they compete, where they can't compete. So with all agreements, you'll give up some freedom in order to get something else on the other side, and that will be attractive enough for some and for others. But they'll obviously want to keep their options open. But the reality is that the AWE will be home to any athlete, regardless of what promotion that they've competed in previously, where they're going. If you're a free agent and you're not signed to an exclusive agreement, the AWE will happily be a home for you. Will be a platform for you. We'll continue to support you. We want to ensure that the best athletes in the world and those that are emerging understand that AWE will be a platform for you into the future. So that's exactly what I meant in that Instagram post. I'm very pleased that Mr. Denwato was keeping an eye on the Instagram stories yesterday and saw that post pop up. But that's exactly what's going on there.
There you go. You heard it right here. Perfect explanation from Dave Stockbridge there. Shredcon1 says, make sure to bolt down the tables for the match between Atirai and Hedda Morris. Absolutely. Yeah. 342 kilos, or was it 770 pounds? Or
771 or 2, I think, when I put it into the calculator.
Yeah,
I said over 750 in the marketing, but 770 pounds.
Absolutely.
Of enormous human being.
Yeah, we will have to reinforce. They actually broke my table at AWE too. They literally did. Luckily, it didn't affect anything. But the pins that hold, so you've got your elbow pad, and then on the elbow pad in each corner, there's like pins that drop it into the table.
Oh, yes, yeah.
They snapped off.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's the force that was going through these tables from these guys.
Incredible.
So, yeah. Dungeon Master Arm Wrestling says, hey guys, hope you are all good, with a prayer. It's hoping very hard that we are all good. And yes, good to see you in here. Thank you very much. And we've had quite a few comments since your discussion about the contracts there. We'll try to catch up on that, but we still had the vegans discussion going on there. Vegans can be a delicacy for cannibals. Absolutely. And Neo says, Dave, I dare you to say that to Alexei Vovoda's face. It's more than likely.
What about the Euroses? Or
I would say it's about that Alexei is more than likely a vegan, who is a former champion.
Very weak man. And, very weak.
He actually won a medal, I believe, in bobsleigh as well.
Oh wow!
Yeah, yeah,
there you go.
Which is insane.
Another forgettable sport. Well done.
What are your thoughts on the match between Devon and Hermes? Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Musical chairs.
Yeah, I didn't actually watch the match with Hermes and Jerry. I
Missed
think.
it.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I wasn't that keen on it really. I
Making
don't know. I
Teenage
don't know.
Mutant Ninja
Just
Turtle memes.
yeah,
So yeah, Devon and Hermes. The thoughts there. I think what's going to happen is, I think RVJ said it best, is that there's a lot of uh, fake build up and a lot of false kind of promotion of an event. I'm sure Devon's going to kick in overdrive, give it everything he's got to try and make it interesting. Hermes, I mean, it's going to be the match because there isn't anything else. And again, that'll be the reason why you watch the card. Tell me about the other 15 matches that'll be on there and what you remember from that. So,
yeah. I don't know. I think Devon wins it comfortably.
there you go. Me too.
Phil Woody, all this talk about fast food joints. I'm all about Italian cuisine, only quality for my friend. Only quality for my friend.
Bellissimo.
Yeah, very nice. A big pasta fan, Phil Woody is.
Yeah.
And catch up. Good morning. Okay, then I think steroids and vegan is steroids with meat. Okay. Yes, Mr. D'Amato, this would be in reference to your comment about the contracts. It is really sad. It is sad. We want the best for all athletes and promotions around the world. Dominic Lawrence has said, "Good evening, all. Good evening to you, Dominic.
Sir. Good evening."
Coach Apple.
Yeah,
Couch
so
Apple.
it is a bit of a bummer because I think what's been going on in the sport over recent times, and you've seen this in the explosion of new events around the world. You've seen this in new promotions emerge since COVID, and there was this wonderful period, and I thought we were still in it up until a couple of short weeks ago. Where there was opportunities there to attract big names and to have those big names serve as inspiration for lesser known athletes that might be appearing on the same card, and to demonstrate that there's a pathway of professionalism in the sport. So yeah, it is a little bit sad, but with all things, opportunity presents. And so if that's the way that the sport's going to go, I do understand that a lot of arm wrestlers are very much free thinkers. They're not always going to be easily railroaded into feeling that there's only one option. And as these promotions start to gain greater traction, they'll prove to be increasingly financially viable and attractive to the big names. And so providing more and more options for athletes so they don't feel like they're having to stick with basically the one promotion. And although we're talking about two promotions, we're really talking about one when we're talking about the two big. So it's really one enterprise there's that we're concerned with. So Phil Woody.
He says that AWE exclusive contracts are the best because they include unlimited espressos and fried Mars bars.
Exactly. That's the rider all of our athletes receive.
That's the midnight Saturday night combination there, the espresso and the fried Mars bar. We've got Cal Chappell, smart move from the AWE team tapping into the Indian viewer base. You are smarter than Engen on this one. We are surprised that there's such an amazing array of arm wrestlers in that region that haven't had that worldwide exposure.
Just watch out, because I'm sure I'm going to be on the phone to Pradeep trying to organise some Indians to come over next. Probably in the same way that he jumped straight on the phone to his belt supplier. So you find that those with money at their disposal in the sport will just jump onto any good idea that anybody else has had in order to make it their own, and to co-opt that. Don't be surprised if Engen's making arrangements on the phone to the Indian community right now.
Town Chapel says there were some chatter about getting Mazahir at Arm Wars, and here Ryan has swooped them up. I hear the Indian YouTube Insta Reel shorts for arm wrestling has 5 times the viewers than any other country because of the population.
Yep.
You are correct on the viewership in terms of us swooping up somebody and not preventing them. I've specifically written into the AWE contracts that this does not prevent you from competing anywhere else you like. You are not restricted. And so we have hardly swooped somebody up and prevented them from competing anywhere else.
So strange, because under those athletes, under those contracts, there's no restrictions. But under your contract on this podcast, you are compelled to do a double bicep.
That's right.
That's funny, isn't it?
It is funny. I should have read through it. I did miss that section.
Yeah, but you're quite right. I mean, India's got 1.4 billion people. It's on our side of the planet. The time zones aren't entirely different. If you happen to be catching the Pro Punja League over the weekend, you would have seen production values unseen at King of the Table or East versus West. I mean, it really put those organizations to shame when you talk about the visual spectacle that was put on and the production values associated with their events. It was just absolutely amazing. So India are doing big things right now. I don't think it'd be hard to find too many nations more populous that have such a strong love and connection to arm wrestling. So and I guess this speaks to the point. Arm wrestling is truly international. Every culture seems to have some form of affinity with our sport, which I think is a precious and beautiful thing.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. Couch Shuffle says Mazahir right arm is literally just bigger than his left in bone structure and frame. Talk about being built for arm wrestling, but we'll have to see if he can beat the overseas competition. That's exactly why we are very interested in this match, because if you've got somebody there's 1.4 billion people in that country. This man has risen to the top, and he said, I am the number one in this country. And we said, well, we'll pit you against one of our best over here in Ryan Blue Bowen, and that's what you will see at AWE number 3, and it will take place there.
Yeah. And Ryan sees the opportunity in a matchup like this as well. I mean, if he's able to beat Mazahir, he will be the Emperor of India.
It is. Yeah,
he will be the king of 1.4 million people there. Out of that entire country, there won't be a single person that will be able to stick their hand up and say that they're capable of beating Ryan Blue Bowen. So
right.
This is exciting.
It's
really exciting.
Absolutely. Carolyn is asking Drew how I got my nickname of Hollywood. Well, it's a very simple answer. Is I gave it to myself. With our SA Titans Arm Wrestling Club, when I started creating video content, I wanted to give everyone nicknames because it's a lot easier to remember somebody by their nickname than Tim or Paul or John or Greg or whatever. It's well, that's the Viking, or that's the engineer, or that's Kratos, or that's Hollywood, or that's whoever. It's much easier to remember a character name. And I was giving nicknames to everybody, and then I was thinking, what nickname should I give to myself? And it's always silly to give yourself a nickname, but no one else was going to do it, and I didn't want something stupid. And I was like, so for those that aren't aware, I do a lot of acting work, and I've done, I think,
You're acting right now.
I am. I'm pretending to be here. This is pre-recorded. I recorded this weeks ago.
Method actor.
That's right. Yeah. And so I think I've done 65 films, a whole bunch of TV commercials and all sorts of things. But I thought, that's probably something that would be kind of cool. Would be like Hollywood. Yeah. I'm like, that'll do. I'll go with Hollywood. And then I said to Tim Graham, the Viking, who used to run the Titans Arm Wrestling Club, and I said, I've come up
He's
with...
also our ref.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You guys would know him as the ref everyone loves to hate.
Everybody shit on him.
That's right.
He's that guy.
Yeah. But and I said, I've come up with a nickname. I'm going with Hollywood. And he goes, you can't go with Hollywood. He goes, Don Underwood's already Hollywood. And I was like, who's Don Underwood? Like, I was still new to the arm wrestling world, and I was like, who's Don Underwood? He goes, this is American famous arm wrestler, Don Hollywood Underwood. And I was like, there can be 2 Hollywoods. It doesn't matter. I'll never meet him or anything.
There's 8 billion people.
That's right. Yeah. And then I think within 3 months, I was on a podcast with Don Hollywood Underwood.
But you were exposed.
I was. He gave a very nice explanation as to how he got his nickname of Hollywood. And then he says, how did you get your nickname, Mr. Hollywood? And I was like, I gave it to myself.
A beautiful moment in arm wrestling.
It was. It's great. Oh, there we go. Mr. Damwano, thanks for the explanation, Dave. Semicolon. Ooh, fancy. Arm wrestling organization crossovers are the best. AWE, this got the best punctuation out of everybody, I think. AWE versus Pro Panja, comma, very nice. AWE versus East versus West with Lachlan makes it exciting for all, like back in the days with smaller MMA organizations, etc. Rhett Danwado. Okay, I'm not sure if this is Rhett from our event or it might be unrelated, but yes,
Hard to work out.
it is. Rhett Downward. Downward, that's who it is.
It's Rhett Downward.
That makes more sense.
Okay,
it's Rhett Downward.
So it is exciting, and I think it's always interesting, isn't it? You know, to find out how everybody's going, and although athletes may be centered on a particular promotion, it's always good to see how somebody from the outside competes within that promotion and vice versa. And so those opportunities, I do believe will still exist. I just think that if the arm wrestling community and the big names of the sport move wholesale into contractual agreements over the next 2 or 3 years, then that's going to it's going to suck some of the oxygen out of the room and make it more difficult for those events to happen, because as our friends recognize, if you don't have a big name or two on your card, then selling pay-per-views is a tougher task.
Yeah.
Though we're all about storytelling, the reality is that a big draw card, it does generate attention that all the storytelling in the world will struggle to make up for. And so if you remove all the big names and the anticipation out of it, not just for the pay-per-view audience, but of course for those that come along to the events, that want to shake hands with the stars, who want to jump on the tables at the after pool, and all of those things are negatively impacted for the promotions that don't have those big names signed up to long-term deals.
That's Dungeon Master Arm Wrestling, who I know is one of the top guys in the UK. He's got a big channel, and I cannot think of who his actual real name is.
But I like the fact he's hiding his whole identity behind the dungeon.
Yeah, that's
the
right.
Dungeon Master.
The issue of contracts in arm wrestling is very interesting, a sign of a growing sport. The intentions behind them can be good for the sport or affect the sport negatively. I applaud AWE for being inclusive. There you go. We were just saying that. So that's thank you for punctuating our point there.
Yeah.
And he's also followed that up with but I definitely sign with you guys for a fried Mars bar.
Yes.
I am 3/4 Scottish after all.
Beautiful.
And what would you describe the taste of a deep fried Mars bar for us, Dungeon Master?
Yeah.
Dave says it tastes, what would you say? It tastes horrible. Or we had somebody else said it tastes like insulin and diabetes all in one.
Diabetes. Yeah, all in one. All in one.
There you go. We've got I've got a compliment here. Matt Connolly's humor is incomprehensible and galactical. Well, I think you've gone to a thesaurus there, and you've gone. Let me put in some random words.
I don't know what the Danish translations are for these words.
Galactical. Well,
incomprehensible, maybe. Galactical. Wow.
Is incomprehensible a compliment?
I mean,
incomprehensible means you can't understand it.
He's not. He's struggling.
He is. Oh, okay, great. That's good then, because I like to push comedy where it just no one has any idea what I'm talking about. That's great. Nice, Mr. Hollywood is a great stage name. Well, there you go. That's what I thought. I thought it was good, and then everyone. That Jake Ward has a particular issue with it. Every time I am on anything, he's like, "You got to change your name." It's like, I'm sticking with it now. I've got business cards printed.
Ryan is a big name.
He is indeed. That's
he's a big name. That's right.
But that's all he needed to say.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan's a short name, but he is a big name.
It is a short name.
Yeah, so I guess part of the premise of AWE was we would always need a Ryan Bowen or a name or two that draw attention to the card. That's always been part of the model. And Ryan, of course, has opportunities all around the world to compete, and has chosen to stay on AWE. But I also know, Ryan wasn't shy in challenging Engen after AWE too, and that wouldn't have been at all a problem from AWE's perspective. It doesn't mess with any of our plans. For instance, if an athlete was to go overseas to compete, Lachlan Adair, for instance, who competed missed AWE 1, but AWE 2, he has certainly put in a very impressive performance against
Yeah.
Jordan Seal, and earned himself a spot on East versus West, and performed exceptionally well on East versus West. And I think only found his way back into the country a few days ago. And so from our perspective, it's great for our competitors to become more seasoned and to travel the world and to develop their profile and their stature within the fraternity of arm wrestling. Is nothing but a positive thing.
You haven't said your favorite line, which you picked the last couple of weeks. You seem to say, what is it? Sprinkle the stardust of something on top of something else. You've said that a few times recently. I'm like, he's just picked up this new saying.
It's an old saying. I've dusted it off.
Yeah. Oh, you've dusted it off.
Yeah, I dusted off the stardust.
Yeah, that's great.
Awesome. A little bit of their stardust. Yeah,
that's right.
Fall upon us.
I would have liked to have spent more time talking to Jordan Seal. I feel that I missed not an opportunity. I didn't get time to talk to him, but
he was avoiding you.
Yeah, most of them were.
Did you arrange my flights? Oh, you're that guy.
Oh, that was you? Yeah, okay. Can you just stand over there? So further away.
Well, yeah, straight after commentating for 4 hours, you were then on a live view for another 3 or 4 hours, a live stream for 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
And whilst everybody was on the tables and enjoying the after pool and socialising and heading out to dinner and doing all of that, you were kind of on the microphone.
So were you? You were announcing.
Oh, I was announcing on stage. Yeah. So we should really plan these events. But it is one of the reasons why we're not dovetailing with DFC as well, is because if we're dovetailing with DFC, AWE's first, DFC is second, and that just means that I don't get much of a chance to be able to enjoy.
You're in the octagon announcing for like 12 hours straight.
That's right.
Because I picked him up from the airport, but at the same time as a couple of other people. So
he refused the ride and decided to walk.
I didn't get a chance to have a good conversation with him. And then obviously it's not very far from the airport to the city where we dropped him off. It's like, okay, yeah, cool. Nice to meet you. There's the hotel. If you have any problems, let me know. And then I didn't see him again till the event. I think it was just a very brief hello while I was running past to go and do something. And then he went and left the next morning on his flight. So, I didn't get a chance to talk to him much, but he seemed a really nice, friendly guy, and I would have loved to have had the opportunity to chat to him more. Dungeon Master Arm Wrestling says, I believe the key is supporting the athletes to build their profiles. More athletes that draw interest is key. Myself and AW in the UK try to help all the guys around us with the socials. And I believe AW had a match on Arm Gods recently as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but I believe that's what happened. Yeah, which is tremendous. And that's what is fun about what Arm Gods is doing, is that you don't have to be an elite world-class arm wrestler to have an amazing match in arm wrestling. Even if you get the luck of being on something like Arm God, where you get to walk in and the crowd is cheering and people are slapping you on the back and you're walking up to the table and you would feel like a superstar regardless. Then it doesn't really matter. I mean, they've matched you up with somebody around your skill level, hopefully, so you guys can have an amazing match. And it doesn't have to be like this is for the number one spot in the world. It's like no, this is just a fun event.
This is just fun. What Arm Gods are doing there is awesome. Yeah, absolutely awesome. And making it a spectacle and making it entertaining. That whole thing. I will just pick up on what you were just mentioning there, Dungeon Master, and that is that the easiest way for an arm wrestling athlete to get opportunities that may be above their ranking or their ability, and to secure a spot on a platform is to really
bribing
100% with Euroses and Deep-Fried Mars bar. But having a great social media profile, that's definitely the key. If as a promoter, if we're sitting there and we're looking at a matchup between a really good athlete that's world class, that's got his account hidden on Instagram, or a young guy or girl that's got 100,000 followers, well, that's a no-brainer from our perspective. I don't care how good the guy, how elite the other athlete might be. The reality is, if you've got no attention as a promoter, it's really difficult for me to translate that in terms of a business decision. If we've got only 10 matches to make, we're going to pick those matches that have a storyline that people care about. And unfortunately, if you don't have a followership, apart from your friends and family, the rest of the world doesn't care that much.
Yeah.
So yeah, 100%. You're doing a great thing there, Dungeon Master, with respect to your work in building the social media profiles of the athletes.
Are you bowing every time you say?
Each and every time.
My name is Tim. I was given the moniker by Jake Ward.
Well, I like Dungeon Master.
Dungeon Master is, well, this is exactly the point of having a nickname. Is it's much more interesting. You'll remember Dungeon Master better than you'll remember Tim.
Yes, indeed.
Phil Woody has kindly put a link up to the Arm Gods promotion there, and go check them out if you haven't heard of them. You are in for a treat. These guys put on amazing events. They're incredible. Marcus Thompson and Paul Maiden doing a fantastic job. Paul Maiden, I don't know if he's put a story out, if anyone has seen the shoes that he has gotten, the Arm Gods shoes.
Is that public?
I think
is that
it
a known
is.
thing? Is it? Oh, wow.
I hope so.
How cool are they?
Well,
yeah. Jake Wood style.
Well, I believe they've got merchandise for people to buy, but
fantastic.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to get your Arm Gods branded shoes and merch very, very soon.
I hope so, and I hope that is already something they've announced. They've got shirts, they've got hats, they've got. Go check out their website. You'll be able to see all the merchandise that Arm Gods has available, and they do a tremendous job. Marcus Thompson, Paul Maiden.
We absolutely love the Arm Gods crew and everything that they're doing, and I guess here's the other flip side. So we were just talking about the business end of things with Tim, and we would in terms of athletes, what they can do. The best thing that they can do is develop their social media profiles, and we've got at the moment disparate business models that are being applied to the world of arm wrestling at the moment. And what the Arm Gods guys are doing is something completely different. They're entering a subscriber model. They've got they're building events that are for the in-person audience as much as it is for those people that are paying to watch from home. They are creating multiple streams of income through their merch store, through other avenues, and really establishing a very sound business base for their promotion. So they're doing great things in the space of the sport. That's not just about the sport. This is about running a successful business that's going to prosper when perhaps others with cards of 30 matches fail.
No, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. For sure. It is they know their audience. They do a fantastic job, and we love seeing everything that they're doing. And hats off to Arm Gods. And so should we wrap things up? Do you think? We can. Well, it's up to you. I'm happy to keep going if you like. If people are enjoying watching, and if you've got any other questions they want to pop up, and we'll answer.
Fox 8 fell asleep. It will happen.
I don't know if it's nighttime there or.
I think it's the middle of the night, isn't it?
It might be early morning. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a confident sound there.
About 6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. Maybe he was staying up late. And what happened to the rest of your name, Fox 8 Ball? It's just changed to Foxall.
Foxall.
I put that up twice now.
So just to recap for those people that are a little bit late to us, and to those people that have been hanging in there, God bless you. Thank you very much. It has been a podcast full of deep fat fried Mars bars, chicken shop talk, and more. But importantly, we have been also discussing the big matchups that have already been confirmed. That's Marcus Satirai versus our former Intercontinental Champion and the strongest man in New Zealand, Mataringi Heta, the Beast Morris.
Yeah. So how do you see that match going?
I find it's going to go to the way of the New Zealander. I think Mataringi demonstrated against Todd Hutchings that he's so close to elite, so close. And Marcus Satirai, he's a catcher, and then moves forward from there. Unless there's any change to that strategy, I feel like he's likely to struggle. I just feel like Mataringi's got a few more tools in the box to pull out. But you just don't know when you've got two athletes at 170 kilos. It could literally go either way. Hopefully the table doesn't break this time. But my call would be for Mataringi ahead of Morris.
I'd say he's the favourite. Yeah. I mean, his performance against Todzilla was incredible. And Marcus, but the interesting thing with watching Marcus's game plan with Gunter's and seeing that he was setting traps and that he had a very, very specific style he was going to employ, he may have come up with a strategy for Mataringi.
Well, I don't know to the extent that Mataringi's got much of an arm wrestling team around him, or anybody who's near comparable to his strength that's able to test him in those varying lanes. So somebody who can stand as a proxy for, say, for Todd Hutchings, or in this case for his latest appointment for Marcus. Is there somebody in his club or in his gym that is comparable in stature, that can imitate a particular style, so that Mataringi is able to better prepare? Whereas Marcus does have a very good team around him and a club of very strong arm wrestlers who and a few of those guys are right up there, and they might not have the pure horsepower of the beast, but they it's not too far off, and it's certainly enough that they may be able to imitate some of the planes and the vectors of his opponent. So maybe Marcus has got that ability to be able to better prepare for his opponent than what the New Zealander does. So,
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, absolutely.
So it'll be very interesting. And of course, there's still a long camp. There's still some time to go. So there's a lot of preparation. And when you are preparing specifically for one opponent, it's one of the great joys of super matches. You can see in a 6 to 12 week period an enormous change in an athlete's approach, and if they're focusing specifically on hand or wrist or pronation or whatever it might be, riser, whatever it might be that gives them the edge against that particular opponent. Well, there's enough time for you to get maybe your strength up 10 or 15%, just enough that on match day makes a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it seems to be at those elite levels, it's less about getting stronger and more about the game plan or the specific target of exercise that you're going to be utilizing to overcome that person in particular. They have this set of skills. I need to get strong right here to be able to win.
And what do you think? So if Marcus is the underdog, what area does Marcus need to get strong in to be competitive against the beast?
It's going to come down to the strategy that he's going to employ. And it to me, this almost feels like a mirror match. Like it just seems like both guys have the same weapons and they both have a very strong King's move. They both have the ability to allow their opponent to get positioned and wear themselves out before they start to implement their own strength.
I would say also, like, both men are probably used to being the biggest men.
Yes.
Or the biggest man on the table as well. So interesting that they're both ginormous and going to weigh in very, very similarly for this matchup. So
it'd be interesting to see what happens in the center, like off of the go, because it seems to me both athletes will let the opponent take that first third before they implement their style, and they want to take the opponent's offense and use that against them. But if they're both doing that, how does that look?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what's
so who's going
to
be the instigator? Who's going to move and who's preparing accordingly? And that's what makes this matchup pretty exciting. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting.
Absolutely, yeah, for
to
sure.
See in both of these men's social media profiles over the coming weeks as to what it is that they're doing, what are they implementing, what movements are they working on, and where are they seeking to get strong for AWE3.
That's right. Phil Woody chimed in. He says, Mataringi must have a mean press. I've not really seen him use it, but I'm sure it's in the locker. He bench pressed me and Uncle John at the same time here in the UK last year. He is super strong, and yes, he is. He is a monster of a man, and he is going up against probably the first time we've seen somebody that is of that size go against another person that is just as big. So,
yeah. And I think Marcus probably has 3 or 4 inches in height.
Yeah,
on Mataringi
that's right.
as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very, very interesting. A real clash of the Titans. So, you have a good night. Catch up. Well, thank you very much. We always appreciate your company on the live streams. We love you, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Have a galactic night. How is Bourneman doing? Training, motivation, etc. He is doing very well. He's put up a video this week of him doing some dumbbell presses. He had to strap more weight onto the dumbbells to make them heavy enough.
I think did that make him 70 kilos?
Something like that.
Yeah,
he was doing it comfortably.
Yeah, he's like just turned 20 years old as well. I mean, that kid's a star, an absolute star and a specimen. To behold in person, it's just remarkable that that young man is only 20 years old and carrying muscle on his frame like that. It's just pure genetics, just amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So should we wrap things up here?
We can wrap it up.
All right. Well, thank you to everybody for tuning into the AWE podcast. We had some big announcements. Very quickly, we're having a tournament prior to AWE 3, the grand finals of which will be on the AWE 3 pay-per-view event.
Correct.
You can enter that regardless as to who you are. Everybody can enter. It is open weight and it is right arm only. We will also be having a last man standing event at the AWE 3 event as well, which is essentially a one hour king of the table, and if you're in the winner's position on the hour mark, you will be the winner, and whoever holds the king position the longest amount of time throughout that hour is also going to be getting a prize too. So thank you very much for everybody for tuning in. We'd like to thank our sponsors. We've got Bunsters air dried biltong. Once again, the point of difference being that it is air dried, not oven dried like beef jerky is. We've got Roll Clean soap that always is Matt and Kat that pops in, and they have been on the podcast, the Daily Combat podcast, a couple of times with us here, and they do a tremendous job with their locally sourced organic soap, which is designed specifically for grapplers or for people who do combat sports where you're constantly sort of grabbing and wrestling with somebody else. And it is very much an anti-staph sort of soap, but everybody can use it regardless of whether or not you are doing that work or not. Correct. Works fantastically at washing your hair with it as well.
Yes. Well, I think both of us, neither of us have used shampoo. We've only used the Roll Clean soaps in our beards and well, you've got hair. So we and of course code word for our friends at Barbell Foods is arm wrestle. So if you enter the arm wrestlers code, you'll get 10% off, and that'll be letting the good people there at Barbell Foods know that you're supporting their product because you've heard about it here on AWE. And of course,
the Bunsters Shit the Bed hot sauce, rated at 12 out of 10 for hotness. It is insanely hot. Yes, this is no joke. It is really hot. What were your thoughts on tasting that for the first time?
It's an eye waterer. So if you're into your Tabasco and you want to take the next step,
oh my God, I knew this was going.
This is the way to go.
What did you think? Taste nice?
It's great. It actually is. It's great. It's great. It's great on your steaks. Vegans can try it on vegetables as well.
Yeah, they can. Yeah. They probably won't be able to lift the bottle. But thank you to everybody for watching. Tune in. Lots of big announcements constantly coming out with AWE. Keep an eye out for the website to be ready. That will be our next thing. And we appreciate everybody. So thank you very much. We love